Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Hokage I, Naruto becomes stronger by God reward working system. Chapter 1. The smoke was vast and the water was jagged. A figure appeared on the calm lake. It looked like a child, because he was only about 1 meter tall. He had 6 whiskers on his face. His thin face was full of indifference, but his eyes were very bright, and his sky blue pupils revealed depth. Yellow hair was reflected in the water. Suddenly, a small fish broke this seemingly peaceful scene. Swish! Suddenly, a wooden stick stabbed in. It was sharpened towards the water. Soon, blood stained the lake. The fish that was jumping just now was stabbed by the sharpened wooden stick. After struggling violently for 2 seconds, the breath of life began to weaken and finally disappeared. The size is not bad, it seems that we can have another good meal. It was the boy who was standing by the water just now. The boy's name was Uzumaki Naruto, and the place where he was called Konoha Village. Suddenly, a voice sounded in his mind, fishing proficiency +10. Naruto was no longer surprised by the voice in his mind. When he came to this world, he seemed to have obtained the ability of God's reward for hard work. As long as he did it, he could gain proficiency or other aspects of anything. For example, fishing may also include a very small strength bonus and agility bonus, but the voice in his mind did not prompt it. In fact, he was not the original Uzumaki Naruto in this world, but he did not know whether he was in his second life or reborn, because when he just became conscious, what echoed in his mind was the earth-shaking Nine-Tails rebellion. He also clearly remembered that a red-haired woman had admonished him in his ear and told him to follow the 3 ninja prohibitions. He knew that this woman, the princess of the Whirlpool country, his current mother, Uzumaki Kushina, the wife of the 4th Hokage and the previous Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. He confirmed that the reason he traveled through time was mainly because of his innate powerful soul talent. It was impossible for a child to have such a powerful soul power, or it could be said that the souls of both had merged into one. This instantly gave him a sense of belonging to this place. It also made Naruto shed tears unconsciously when he heard the woman's words. Listening to the woman's sincere voice, as an orphan in his previous life, he rarely experienced the preciousness of family affection, but all of this was ruined. But as a baby at the time, he was almost sleepy, and when he came to his senses, the Nine-Tails rebellion had already passed. His previous name was meaningless, and he is now called Uzumaki Naruto. Life after that was even worse than he had imagined. He thought that the original work had already shown a terrible appearance, but the reality was far more cruel than he had imagined. There was no real treatment for the son of a hero, and even he himself, the son of the 4th generation, was not treated as a hero. All news was blocked. When Naruto was a child, he was left to a nanny. At some point, rumors of a demon fox started to spread in the village. The scary thing was that soon his appearance became well known, and he became a demon fox that everyone in the village wanted to kill. The nanny abused him in every way, and the Anbu who was actually protecting him and monitoring him in secret turned a blind eye to this, and even revealed hatred and murderous intent towards him, but they quickly restrained themselves. As for why Naruto knew this, it was actually thanks to Naruto's powerful mental power. After 2 lives as a human, Naruto's mental power is much stronger than in the original work, which allowed him to awaken a talent that few people in the Uzumaki clan have awakened, the Kagura Heart's Eye. This is the strongest perception talent in the Uzumaki clan. Naruto can easily feel the outside world's investigations and the Anbu hidden around him. And at the age of 3, Naruto relied on the god's reward for hard work, ability, and took the initiative to apply for a person to live. This may be an incredible thing in the previous life, but in this world where life is worthless and even 6-year-old children have to go to the battlefield, nothing is impossible. After a period of persuasion, the 3rd generation agreed to Naruto's request. The physical fitness of people in the ninja world is relatively good, and the body cells are several times that of people in the previous life. When he was 3 years old, the 3rd generation sent people to teach Naruto literacy and some basic knowledge. Under Naruto's deliberate rhetoric, he wanted to get the chakra practice method. He knew that only strength could keep him alive. However, the 3rd generation did not agree, because the body was too small, and refining chakra too early would squeeze the body's potential. Naruto thought about it and didn't say it, because he didn't want to squeeze the potential too early. Although the life in Konoha was full of malice towards him in the early stage, the danger was not very great. And the third generation would not deceive him in this regard. Relying on the ability of God rewarding hard work, Naruto also has power far beyond that of ordinary peers, and he will not be bullied like in the original. Every time Naruto does something, a voice will sound in his mind, and he has become accustomed to its existence over the years. When Naruto runs, a reminder will sound in his mind: physical strength +2, strength +1, constitution +1. This also makes Naruto more keen on running, but the villagers are very malicious towards him, and Naruto does not want to go to the village but goes to the woods behind the mountain. In the eyes of the Anbu, this is a very active boy, but also very strong. Naruto is very excited while running, and the sense of power that keeps coming from his body makes him feel very safe. This may be the golden finger for his survival, although it is not as systematic as the legendary colleagues of the time traveler, who can beat the sky, the earth, and the air in seconds. From time to time, he completes a task, draws a prize from time to time, and reaches the peak of his life early. Naruto is already very satisfied. After all, with the physique of the Uzumaki clan, plus a large power bank in his body, plus the ability of God's reward for hard work, as long as he does not commit suicide, he will sooner or later reach the peak of his life. But Naruto found that the ability of God's reward for hard work is not without limit. It mainly depends on him to do it to get the bonus. Doing it once is equivalent to the gains that others can get after doing it 10 or even dozens of times. Naruto had also tried to silently call for things like the system interface, but obviously, there was nothing, except for a prompt tone that only he could hear. However, it also allowed Naruto to gain physical fitness far beyond that of children of the same age. In order to gain more growth, Naruto tried to do many things, but in the eyes of others, he was a more active type. The Anbu also reported Naruto's reaction to the third Hokage. The third Hokage did not doubt anything, but just sighed that Naruto inherited the vitality of his mother Uzumaki Kushina, worthy of the physique of the Uzumaki clan. The third Hokage also often appeared beside Naruto to ask about his well-being. Whenever this happened, Naruto acted very happy, of course half true and half false. It was really Naruto who took the opportunity to ask the third Hokage for living expenses every time. His monthly living expenses were only 1,500 yuan. What could this money do? How much did a bowl of Ichiraku ramen cost? 60 taels, but it was indeed worth the money. As for other places, Naruto had no chance to buy food at all. The uncle of Ichiraku ramen and his daughter Ayame were rarely people who had no ill will towards him. The current Naruto is not the original Naruto. He knows how much money the fourth Hokage had when he was alive. Although he doesn't know the exact amount, it is definitely a lot. Now all of it has been taken away by Konoha or the third Hokage. Every month, it is not even enough for his living security. Although it is to show his presence in front of him from time to time, Naruto knows what the third Hokage is thinking. He often preaches the will of fire in front of him, trying to play the family card with him, and finally holding his trump card of the 9 tails Jinchuriki tightly in his hand. In the process of getting along with the third generation, Naruto relied on his ability of God's law to reward hard work and actually improved his acting skills to a very high level. But I didn't expect that the third generation was actually a cunning old man. Every time Naruto asked for money, he would always refuse, and every time he brought Naruto some food and small things to make Naruto grateful. If the original Naruto really thought that the third generation of Hokage was really good to him, he would probably shed a few tears and said, "Grandpa, third generation is the best to me." But how could the current Naruto be fooled? He was pretending, which made the third generation very satisfied, thinking that he could hold Naruto, the 9-tailed Jinchuriki, in his hands. As for why Naruto showed this look, it was mainly to guard against Danzo. Naruto knew that in the early stage, Danzo had never given up on taking Uzumaki Naruto into the root. If Naruto showed dissatisfaction with the third generation of Hokage in the early stage, or was very indifferent, if Naruto did not meet the expectations of the third generation, it would really be possible for Danzo to succeed. After all, it was necessary to ensure the absolute loyalty of the 9-tailed Jinchuriki to the village. The third generation of Hokage in the early stage could be regarded as Naruto's umbrella. When he was 4 years old, Naruto asked the third Hokage again to learn how to refine chakra. This time, the third Hokage did not refuse, because at this time, most of the big families had already begun to teach the younger generations in the family to practice. And in the heart of the third Hokage, teaching Naruto to become a ninja would surely deepen Naruto's feelings for him. However, the third Hokage did not teach Naruto anything else except teaching him to practice. But Naruto was already very satisfied. Mastering the method of refining chakra meant mastering the key to power. After teaching Naruto, the third Hokage returned to the Hokage building, looking at the prosperous scene outside the window, with a smile on his face. This is his era. He is the greatest Hokage. Suddenly, the third Hokage seemed to have thought of something and took out the crystal ball. Suddenly, some pictures appeared on the crystal ball, which turned out to be a women's bathhouse. Looking at the pictures inside, the third Hokage Yuanfei Hiruzen's face couldn't help but turn red. Ding! The sound of a door opening violently was heard, and the Sandai quickly closed the screen on the crystal ball. When he saw the person coming, he said with a slightly angry look, "Danzo, why didn't you knock on the door? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Haven't I always been like this? Hiruzen, hand over the Nine Tails Jinchuriki to me, and I will train him to be a ninja who is absolutely loyal to Konoha." Danzo slapped his hands on the table and said loudly, "Danzo, Naruto will never be handed over to you, so forget it." The third generation sternly rejected Danzo. "Hiruzen, you have to know that I am doing all this for Konoha. If you hand over the Nine Tails Jinchuriki to me, I will definitely train him into a qualified weapon of war." Danzo's eyes were sharp, staring at the third Hokage. "He is Minato's child, don't forget that. Danzo, don't forget, I am the Hokage." The third Hokage looked at Danzo and said in a deep voice, "Humph, you will regret this, Hiruzen." Danzo looked at the third Hokage deeply, then turned away and left. "That's right, close the door." The voice of the third Hokage suddenly came, and Danzo was stunned for a moment. "Humph." With a cold snort, Danzo left without closing the door. After walking out of the Hokage building, Danzo's heart was already filled with anger. "Hiruzen, I will definitely become the Hokage. Only I can lead Konoha to glory. You wait and see." On the other hand, after learning the chakra refining technique, Naruto was ecstatic and couldn't wait to experiment. To Naruto's surprise, his ability of hard work was also effective in refining chakra. Chakra +3, chakra +5. He just tried it once according to the third Hokage's explanation. According to the third Hokage, if one can extract chakra within 1 day, he has a talent for cultivation, and if one can extract chakra within a few hours, he is a genius. And Naruto, with the ability of God's reward for hard work, actually extracted chakra in 1 time, which is incredible. After refining it a few times again, Naruto stopped refining chakra, because the chakra scroll given by the third Hokage was marked that chakra cannot be extracted excessively. It said that it can be refined up to 10 times a day, of course, based on his current age, but Naruto stopped after a few times. Because God's reward for hard work has given him a lot of chakra, plus the physique of the Uzumaki clan, there is no need to refine chakra too much. Too abnormal chakra will arouse suspicion. Now the most important thing is to try to control the chakra in the body. Naruto tried to condense the chakra in his body in his hands, but it was not as easy as he imagined, and it was even a little difficult. Naruto frowned. Although it was his first time to mobilize chakra, it shouldn't be so difficult. With his spiritual power, it shouldn't be that difficult to mobilize chakra. Suddenly, Naruto seemed to think of something. Yes, it should be the 9 tails. The original work mentioned that the 9 tails chakra would interfere with Naruto's control of chakra. Suddenly, Naruto was a little awakened. He was still under the surveillance of the Anbu. At this moment, Naruto suddenly woke up. Genius is a good thing. After all, he is the son of the 4th Hokage and Uzumaki Kushina, but at this time, it is not a good thing to behave like a demon. Genius is normal. There is no shortage of geniuses in this world, but it is not normal to behave too demonically. Naruto pretended to be still trying to refine chakra. After an hour, Naruto pretended to be very excited. The Anbu in the dark looked at Naruto's excitement and couldn't help but sigh that Naruto is really a genius. There are 4 Anbu monitoring Naruto. In Naruto's perception, There are 2 on the tree outside the window, 1 in the corner of the room, and 1 on the roof. One of them showed malice towards Naruto. Naruto didn't know why. It might be because of his identity as a demon fox. After refining the chakra, Naruto tried to mobilize the chakra in his body and attach it to his hands. He failed several times, but the sound coming from his body surprised Naruto. Chakra control +1, chakra control +2. After the sound appeared, Naruto felt as if he had practiced dozens of times. Although he still felt very sluggish, he was extremely happy. This was a guarantee for his success. As time passed, the 3rd generation was very satisfied with Naruto's performance when he heard the reports from his subordinates. He fully inherited the 4th generation's talent and Kushina's physique, plus the existence of the 9 tails in his body. As long as Naruto fully trusted himself, the future would be promising. Danzo. This is the true way to control people. This reminds the 3rd generation of the talented boy Uchiha Shisui. It's a pity that he is a member of the Uchiha clan. However, the Uchiha clan must be eliminated. All this is for Konoha. The 3rd generation took a puff of the pipe in his hand and exhaled thick smoke. Half a year has passed slowly. Naruto looked at the fish in the bucket and swallowed his saliva. The living expenses given by the 3rd generation were not enough for his daily life, and the people in the village hated him. Although the owner of Ichiraku Ramen often helped him, he could not get enough nutrition by eating ramen alone. After learning chakra, coupled with his ability of God's reward for hard work, Naruto's physical strength far exceeded that of his peers, but Naruto did not show all his strength. The strength he usually showed was only about 1/10 of his full strength. This has already made the Anbu in the dark sigh at his genius. Fire escape, small fireball technique. He skillfully performed an E-level ninjutsu. Although it was a ninjutsu, it was only the size of a fist and was simply used for comedy. In fact, Naruto begged the 3rd Hokage for it. The 3rd Hokage only gave Naruto this ninjutsu, which was similar to a play, on the grounds that ninjutsu was too dangerous, and required that only after attending the ninja school would there be a special teacher to teach Naruto. However, Naruto, through the ability of God rewarding hard work, has become extremely proficient in this small fireball technique. Naruto has even improved it to form a large fireball technique, which is slightly weaker than the Great Fireball. Although he has never seen a Great Fireball, he has seen the Great Fireball technique from the scenes of his previous life. This fire escape, which is said to never burn people to death, actually can only burn masters. The Great Fireball technique of the Uchiha clan is still very famous on the battlefield. Naruto also slowly came to understand this world. More cruel than imagined, not all ninjas are the same as those seen in the original work, but more are some genin. Using Kagura's mind's eye, he can feel many sources of chakra. The chakra of some genin and chunin is not even as good as Naruto's, and this is because Naruto has not refined the chakra much, but Naruto can already control the chakra in the body very easily. If the 9 tails does not make trouble, Naruto estimates that his control over chakra is not less than that of Sakura when she just graduated. As for Naruto's desire to conduct more in-depth chakra training, such as treading water and climbing trees, it is not realistic because Naruto has no one to teach him, but Naruto can do some simple control without being discovered by the Anbu. Just like Naruto is now using the small fireball technique to grill fish, and sprinkled with a little homemade condiment from the knowledge of his previous life, it is simply delicious after taking a bite. Grilled fish skills +5. Thanks to the frequent hunting during this period, Naruto's body has grown very fast. Now he is nearly 5 years old and looks like a 6 or 7-year-old child. However, Naruto probably has more ability that is rewarded by hard work. In the original work, Naruto was thin and short in the early stage, mainly because he often ate insufficient food and ate expired food. Now Naruto, who has an adult mind, naturally will not eat expired food. Naruto, who was eating grilled fish, suddenly saw the 3rd Hokage coming over. With a happy look on his face, he said, "Grandpa 3rd, are you here to give me living expenses?" The 3rd Hokage, "I came to see how you are doing, Naruto. Are you grilling fish?" The 3rd Hokage tried his best to show a kind face. Looking at the face of the 3rd Hokage, Naruto felt it was fake. "Since he didn't come to give me living expenses, what are you doing here?" "Come to eat my food." "Humph. Don't think I don't know. I'm afraid my whereabouts here have been reported to you a long time ago. You even pretended to find me here by accident. The third Hokage grabbed the fish that Naruto was grilling without hesitation and took a bite. Well, it tasted quite good. I didn't expect Naruto to have such a skill. Naruto, why don't you go to the village and play with the kids? The third generation said with a kind look. Third generation grandpa, the children in the village don't like me, and they call me a demon fox, so I don't like to go to the village to play. Third generation grandpa is the best, he always gives me money and delicious food. Third generation, is this targeting my wallet? Cough cough. Naruto, how about I send you to ninja school next year? That way you can make a lot of friends. Really, can I make a lot of friends? Forget it, I have a third generation grandfather, which is enough. I want to be a great Hokage like the third generation grandfather. Naruto's face suddenly turned red, as if he was very excited. Ha ha ha, Naruto, it's very difficult to become a Hokage. Where the leaves of Konoha fly, the fire will never stop. After the leaves fall to the ground, they will nourish the roots and finally grow new buds. Hearing the third Hokage say this, Naruto snorted inwardly, why have you, an old man, never been to the battlefield? You didn't make any moves after the Nine Tails Rebellion was pushed out of Konoha. You were afraid of death. You said you were protecting the villagers and your offspring, so why did you send a few-year-old child to the battlefield? Naruto, this is your living expenses. You must spend it sparingly. I will come to see you again after I leave. The third generation left with a kind face, and before leaving, he gave the living expenses to Naruto. After all, he was Minato's child. There are actually 2,000 yuan. Naruto was a little happy. With the previous 1,500 yuan, he already had 3,500 yuan, and he could eat a few bowls of Ichiraku ramen. After all, apart from Ichiraku ramen, he had little use for his money. After finishing the rest of the fish, Naruto happily picked up the bucket and went home. He went home very late because there were few people at this time, and he didn't want to see the disgusted eyes and deep malice of those ignorant villagers in the village. It was really hard for him to imagine how Naruto in the original work faced the tide of malice without turning evil. The following days were spent in constant practice. As he grew older, Naruto began to try to develop some physical skills. Of course, most of them were hidden. He wanted to try and see if he could. Being able to develop the 6 styles of the Navy like in the pirate world, relying on the ability of God rewarding hard work, it is very likely to succeed. Although it has not succeeded yet, his own strength has become much stronger. But the proficiency in his mind is proving that his practice is possible. Naruto guessed that the 6 styles requires a very strong physical foundation, which is why he cannot succeed. His current physical strength is not enough. Soon it was the end of the year, and Naruto went home after training as usual. It was already winter, and heavy snow covered the entire Konoha. The sky seemed a little dim, and it was already evening. Suddenly several voices came into Naruto's ears. Look, this monster, the eyes are actually white. Let's hit her with stones, this white-eyed monster. Naruto looked in the direction of the voice, and saw 3 or 4 little boys surrounding a little girl. This scene seemed strangely familiar to Naruto. Isn't this the scene in the original novel where Naruto was beaten badly when he was the hero saving the beauty? Hey, stop it, all of you. Naruto ran up to them and said, he had to take care of this, after all, she was his future wife. It's this demon fox. Do you want to meddle in other people's business? These 2 monsters are really a perfect match, one is a white-eyed monster and the other is a fox demon. Let's teach this fox demon a lesson. Several others also echoed. I'll let you know why the flowers are so red. Naruto grinned and said, his strong physical fitness made it easy for him to knock down these children who were 2 or 3 years older than him. Woo woo woo, don't hit me, I give up. I'm looking for my mother. The demon fox is going to eat people. A cry rang out, and several people ran away tumbling. No longer caring about the child who ran away, most likely he would go to his mother to complain about himself. This was not the first time, and he was no longer the original Naruto. After possessing the ability of God's reward for hard work, how could these ordinary children bully him? Naruto turned his head and looked at Hinata, the existence who was called the White Eyes Princess in the previous life. What a face, delicate as a porcelain doll, with pupils without any color, coupled with that cute face, instantly hit Naruto's soft heart. It's not that Naruto likes Hinata, but Hinata's face and heart that seemed to be pure. She looked like a blank sheet of paper when she was young, pure and flawless. Thinking of the girl who loved Naruto deeply in the previous life, Naruto suddenly felt that the original Naruto would actually like Sakura, the girl who hated him at the beginning. Even if her perception of Naruto improved later, it was just that she wanted to use Naruto's power to get Sasuke back, and she basically just shouted Naruto when she was desperate. Naruto quickly shook his head, expelling the thought from his mind, and looked at the girl in front of him and said, "Hello, my name is Uzumaki Naruto, what's your name?" Although he knew her name, after all, they had never met before. If he directly said that he knew Hinata, it might arouse the suspicion of the third generation. Looking at the boy who stretched out his hand, Hinata's watery eyes suddenly lowered, and her hand kept scratching her fingers. This was her habit. Whenever she was nervous, she would click her fingers. "My name is Hinata, hatchling." "Hinata." Hinata said her name hesitantly, and her face turned red instantly. Puff. Looking at the shy girl in front of him, Naruto burst into laughter. This is really a shy girl. He directly grabbed Hinata's hand and said, "Where is your home? I'll take you back." Hinata gently raised her hand and pointed in a direction. When Naruto walked forward, he found a resistance on his hand. Hinata stood there blankly, her face became more and more rosy, as if she was about to faint. Naruto was shocked at this time and said, "Sorry, I didn't mean it." Naruto then remembered that Hinata seemed to be like this when she was shy. In the original anime, Hinata would even have steam coming out of her head, and she was given the title of Steam Princess. However, this is a real world. Hinata's head does not have steam coming out, but her face is the same as in the original. Without, it doesn't matter. Seeing Hinata's cautious look, Naruto raised a smile and said, "Let's go." This time Naruto did not hold Hinata's hand again, otherwise Naruto was afraid that Hinata might faint. The two walked on the dim snow, and they did not speak to each other. Hinata was still looking at Naruto with her peripheral vision. The whole Konoha is larger than a county town in the previous life, and it is much more comprehensive than what is seen in the original book. After Hinata pointed the way several times, Naruto and Hinata finally arrived at where Hinata was. The place is very large, and it is distinguished from the houses of the surrounding residents. It looks very imposing. This is where the Hyuga clan lives. Naruto took off the scarf from his neck and put it on Hinata. Hinata did not refuse, but her face began to turn red again. While Naruto was helping Hinata put on the scarf, one of Hinata's feet kept drawing circles on the ground, constantly scratching her fingers, and she did not dare to look at Naruto. "Well, it's getting late, let's go in early." After giving a warning, Naruto watched Hinata walk towards the gate of the Hyuga clan and knocked on the door gently. After a while, a figure came out and was startled when he saw Hinata outside the door. "Miss Hinata, why are you here?" When she saw Naruto, a hint of disgust flashed in her eyes. "Miss Hinata, that's a little fox demon, don't get in touch with him." Seeing Hinata walk into the door, Naruto turned and left, but the maid's words reached Naruto's ears, making him pause. But soon he heard a voice that made him very happy. "Naruto-kun is not a monster." The maid was shocked. She saw Hinata raised her head with a stubborn look. She was actually defending the little fox demon. Although Hinata was very cowardly and did not look like an heir to the main family, the maid was still scared. If Hinata's words were heard by the steward, she didn't know what kind of punishment she would receive. "I'm sorry, Miss Hinata." The maid quickly bent down to apologize. Naruto quickened his pace and left here, but his steps were exceptionally brisk. Naruto is in a very good mood now. Not only did he meet his future wife, but in his perception, Hinata did not have the deep malice towards him like others. And what makes people happy is that Naruto's strength has made great progress. According to Naruto's guess, he should be at the level of a genin, and with the help of the ability of God rewards hard work, he successfully developed the small fireball technique into a chain of large fireball techniques. It should not be weaker than Uchiha's great fireball technique. His current strength should be stronger than Kakashi of the same period, but he doesn't have any plugins. If he hadn't been decadent in the later period, he would have been a monster and pervert. There is a long way to go. What happened to Naruto today was passed on to the desk of the third Hokage the next day. Go down. Yes. The masked Anbu knelt on one knee, and the next moment he turned into a black shadow and disappeared on the spot. The third generation looked at the report submitted by the Anbu. Naruto still trained his body and studied the useless little fireball technique every day. It was useless except for turning it into the size of a human head, but it also showed Naruto's talent in ninjutsu. When thinking of another thing mentioned in it, Hinata, maybe it would be nice to find a bond for Naruto. The third Hokage's mumbling voice echoed in the air. Although Naruto was very sunny when facing him, he thought so, he was still a little cold when facing others. Yes, anyone who was called a demon fox would probably be like this. After thinking about Naruto's dependence on him, the third Hokage couldn't help but feel satisfied. Danzo, this is why I am the Hokage. A year has passed in a flash. This day was the day for ninja school registration, and the third generation personally sent Naruto to school. Naruto, when you go to the ninja school, you must study hard and strive to become a glorious ninja. Yes, I will, Grandpa Sandaime. Looking at the kind face of Sandaime, Naruto nodded. Sandaime is old, no longer the great ninja hero he once was. Power has corrupted his mind. The uproarious incident of Hyuga Hiyashi a year ago shows the weakness of Konoha now. Konoha has really declined under the leadership of F4. White Fang died, the three ninjas left, and Uchiha was about to be forced to rebel. It was simply a hand of bad luck. After Naruto said goodbye to the third generation, he entered the ninja school. Seeing many children being sent to school by their parents, the warm scene chilled Naruto's heart. They seemed to have forgotten how their peaceful life came about. It was his father's life that bought it. When the villagers saw Naruto, they showed disgust without hiding it, and whispered to the children around them, "You have to be careful of that child, it's a demon fox." Looking at the Konoha villagers whispering, Naruto ignored them, his eyes were full of indifference, and he walked to a corner alone. "Shikaku, is that the child?" At this time, a fat figure next to him said. He is Cho among the Ino Shikacho, and also the father of Akamichi Choji, one of the 12 little warriors of Konoha. The person he just asked is Shikaku Nara, the father of Nara Shikamaru, who is also one of the 12 little warriors. Well, the third Hokage went too far. A soft sigh was heard. With Shikaku's wisdom, how could he not guess Naruto's identity? The golden hair, the dark blue pupils, the new generation of Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, and Naruto's age. If he still couldn't guess Naruto's identity, then his so-called Konoha think tank would have lived in vain. Although the third Hokage blocked the information, they knew that the fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze's wife Kushina Uzumaki was pregnant. Even if the third Hokage released the news that Kushina Uzumaki and her unborn child died in the Nine-Tails Rebellion, how could Naruto explain it? It's just that he couldn't interfere with all this, he could only let nature take its course. Soon, after the entrance ceremony after the third Hokage's lecture, the class division process soon arrived. The third Hokage he is indeed very good at capturing people's hearts. He personally serves as the principal of the ninja school and promotes Sarutobi Hiruzen's will of fire every year. What makes Naruto most ashamed is that the third generation also tampered with the textbooks and claimed to be the strongest Hokage. Although these textbooks were not written by him, they were definitely instructed by him. Even now when children are playing ninja games, they all say that the third generation is the strongest Hokage. The brainwashing really starts from children. However, his soul is the thinking of an adult, otherwise he would really be fooled by the third generation like the original Naruto, and do his best to sacrifice his life for Konoha. In the words of the great Toad Sage, Naruto is the son of prophecy who will save the ninja world, but Naruto knows that if he wants to truly change the ninja world, he can only change it from beginning to end and change the class of this world. Composition. There was a saying in the previous life, when a country prospers, the people suffer, and when a country perishes, the people suffer. In the wars in the ninja world, the ones who suffer are the lowest level civilians and some civilian ninjas who are thrown into the battlefield as cannon fodder. And those high-ranking rulers are still living a life of luxury and dissipation. Who would have thought that the rulers of this world are the daimyo who are ordinary people? The first generation Hokage, Senju Hashirama, started a system of one country and one village, thinking that this was the real way to achieve peace, but these were just his wishful thinking. This is just to elevate the war from small villages, small tribes and family-style wars to a larger level. In general, most of the wars in the ninja world are for resources, just like the Sand Village. Why do they always want to capture the Land of Fire? Isn't it because of the Fire Country? The Kingdom of Fire is rich in resources, while the Kingdom of Wind is located in the desert and is short of resources. The water resources that are ubiquitous in the Kingdom of Fire are scarce in the Kingdom of Wind. The same is true for several other ninja villages, but unfortunately, the geniuses in Konoha village in the Kingdom of Fire are endless. After the death of Hashirama Senju, there have been constant stream of geniuses emerging to protect Konoha. Naruto is more inclined to Uchiha Madara's way, to directly push forward and unify the ninja world, but Uchiha Madara did not form a community of interests with others, which led to others being unwilling to follow Uchiha Madara to break this seemingly peaceful tranquility. But now is not the time to think about these issues. The most important thing for him now is to master the strength to survive, so that he will be qualified to change this sick world. Suddenly a voice broke Naruto's thoughts. The class division begins now. If you hear your name, please go to the class and wait for your teacher. Ono Jiro, Class C, Shiranui Shweni, Class B, quote. Uchiha Takashi, Class B, Inazuka Kiba, Class A, Haruno Sakura, Class A. As the names were read one by one, Naruto also heard many familiar people. It's not that Class A is the best class, but it is definitely the most special class. Almost all the people from the big families of Konoha are in Class A. Of course, there are a few children from ordinary families who got in by luck. For example, Haruno Sakura and a few extras. Uchiha Sasuke, Class A, Uzumaki Naruto, Class A. Naruto also heard his own name. As expected, he was also in Class A. When he heard Uchiha Sasuke, Naruto looked at the Uchiha Sasuke who was wearing the Uchiha clan emblem and had a proud face. He looked like a little boy. The second pillar of the Uchiha clan before the extermination was still quite cute. Now he looks like a child pretending to be calm. It must be said that the genes of the Uchiha family are really good. Uchiha Sasuke has shown a good appearance since he was a child. No wonder he was so attractive to girls later. When hearing the name Uzumaki Naruto, Sasuke also looked at Naruto, this person who seemed very strange to him. Why did those people call him a demon fox, when he was obviously no different from us? Well, I'm different. I'm from the Uchiha clan. Under the influence of his clan members, the young Sasuke is also proud of the Uchiha. However, he has not yet been stained with the arrogance of the Uchiha. Now, there are indeed some arrogant and domineering Uchiha people, but this is not all. The crowd found themselves the class was quietly waiting for their teacher, but there were always a few who couldn't sit still, looking around. Naruto looked at the classmates in front of him who he would live and practice with for 6 years in the future. The one with oil paint on his face should be Inazuka Kiba, but he was still young and his only friend was not around. If Naruto remembered correctly, it should be Akamaru. There was also a fat man eating potato chips, who seemed indifferent to everything, as if the potato chips in his hand were the whole world. And next to him, there was a pineapple head, who looked listless, lying on the table, wondering what he was thinking. Next to them, there was also a beautiful blonde little loli, who should be Ino, who was looking at Uchiha Sasuke with other little girls. People can't help but sigh that the children in the Naruto world are really precocious. Nowadays, girls basically know what they should know. Unlike him in his previous life, he didn't know anything about love at this age. Naruto also saw Hinata, walked over, sat directly next to Hinata, and greeted her happily. Naruto, sir, it's been a long time, not see. Hinata responded to Naruto in a halting manner, and Naruto couldn't help but smile as he saw her face gradually turning red. While everyone was chattering, a few long-legged little girls gathered in front of Uchiha Sasuke, and no one even knew when they came in. Uruka, who pushed open the door and came in, was still in the principal's office listening to the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen's speech. Uruka, I plan to put Uzumaki Naruto in your class. I think you are the most suitable person to teach him. The voice of the third Hokage came slowly, and Iruka was a little stunned, because the third Hokage told him that Uzumaki Naruto was the current Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, which made him a little upset. His parents died at the hands of the Nine-Tails, which made him a little overwhelmed and even a little hateful towards this boy who was called a demon fox by the villagers. Iruka sighed deeply and said, "Third Hokage, I understand. This is their information, take a look." The third generation pushed a document to Iruka with his hand. Iruka flipped it open and couldn't help but take a breath of cold air, because the names on the list were basically all the disciples of the big families in Konoha. The heirs of the Uchiha clan, the main family of the Hyuga clan, and even the descendants of the Ino Shikacho, as well as members of some families in Konoha. Only a few civilians were mixed in. "Lord Third Hokage, can I really do this?" "Iruka, don't belittle yourself. I've seen your achievements. You can definitely do it. I'll leave those kids to you," Sandai said softly, then turned and walked out of the office, leaving Iruka in a daze. After a while, Iruka, with a slightly apprehensive mood, took the file bags of several people to the classroom where Class A was located, walked through 2 corridors, walked to a door with the sign of Class A printed on it, slowly opened the door, and saw the scene that made Iruka a little angry. Bang! He threw the file bag in his hand on the table, and the sudden sound scared everyone. When they saw who was coming, they knew that the teacher had come, and they quickly sat up. After seeing everyone sitting down, Iruka breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Next, let's get to know each other. Those whose names are called, introduce their dreams and hobbies." Iruka opened the roster prepared by Sandai before, and called out the name on it, Sano Delang. At this time, a little fat man who looked a little sturdy stood up and said loudly, "Hello everyone. My name is Sano Dairo, and my dream is to become a Hokage. My hobbies are fitness and food." Everyone burst into laughter when they heard this. No wonder he looks fat and a little strong, but this is just a strong fat man. Okay, everyone, stop laughing. Delang's hobbies and dreams are all good. The next classmate is Haruno Sakura. The second classmate is someone Naruto is familiar with. A girl wearing a cheongsam, with pink hair and a slightly broad forehead stood up and said, "Hello everyone, my name is Haruno Sakura, my best friend is Ino, and my dream is to become a great female ninja like Tsunade-sama." Sakura is still a freshman, she hasn't had a falling out with Ino, and she hasn't completely fallen in love with Sasuke, but she is one of the girls who just surrounded Sasuke. The next classmates all introduced themselves as becoming Hokage or something like that. Uzumaki Naruto. "Is it my turn?" Naruto slowly stood up from Hinata's side and said, "My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like Ichiraku ramen, and my dream is to bring nuclear peace to the world and study the mysteries of all things in the world." This can be regarded as Naruto's dream. Anyway, in the end he decided to embark on the path of being an enemy of the world and finally bring nuclear peace to the world. Since he has the ability of God's reward for hard work, Naruto has also become interested in studying the mysteries of the world. No matter what he does, it is an easy thing for Naruto. Because if you do it, you will gain something. However, Naruto discovered that the deeper his knowledge and cognition, the stronger his ability of God's reward for hard work. This made Naruto try every means to acquire knowledge. Naruto's idea is very good, world peace, right? What a great idea. In the ninja world, peace is simply unimaginable, but Iruka did not refute any child's dream, even if the child in front of him was the object of his hatred. However, when he heard Naruto's dream, Iruka's heart was still touched, and his hatred for Naruto inexplicably weakened a bit. The child in front of him is just the carrier of the 9 tails, and he is also a poor child. Maybe he should not be prejudiced against him, but Iruka can't untie his knot for him now. When Naruto introduced himself, Uchiha Sasuke also looked at this guy who was a little strange to him. He was even more arrogant than him. But he was still a little shocked by Naruto's dream. Uchiha Sasuke. Upon hearing his name being called, Sasuke stood up quickly and said loudly, "My name is Uchiha Sasuke. My favorite person is my brother. I hate people who disturb me and my brother. I like tricolor balls, and my dream is to let the glory of Uchiha resound throughout the village." The children who heard Sasuke's introduction praised him one after another, mostly girls. Naruto looked at the boy who was introduced in front of him. Now he is not the boy in the original book who is full of hatred and revenge all the time. Now he is just a slightly arrogant boy. However, Sasuke was still influenced by Uchiha. He kept talking about the glory of Uchiha. He was still too naive. Next, all the classmates introduced themselves one by one. When it was Hinata's turn, Naruto found that she was a little nervous. Naruto pulled Hinata's hand and then let go, but Hinata's face still blushed. Looking at Naruto's encouraging eyes, Hinata slowly said, "Hello everyone. My name is Hyuga Hinata. My dream is to become a gentle and virtuous woman like my mother." Hinata sat down quickly after she finished speaking, lowering her head. Naruto saw that Hinata's fair neck suddenly turned pink. Naruto thought Hinata was nervous, but in fact, Hinata was nervous. "Naruto-kun shook my hand. Shake my hand." Iruka saw Hinata's look and sighed in his heart. As the heir of the Hyuga family, he couldn't be so weak. With Iruka's calls, all the classmates introduced themselves soon, and then recorded each classmate's hobbies and dreams. These were to be reviewed by the third generation, because a person's dreams and hobbies can show what kind of person he is. Of course, it may not be comprehensive, but it is also very important information. After the introduction, Iruka closed the booklet he had just written. "Hello everyone, today is our first day of school. We won't do too much, the formal teaching will start tomorrow, you can go home after the bell rings." As Iruka's voice fell, everyone quieted down and waited quietly for the end of school. Nowadays, many children are still restless. Haruno Sakura came to Ino's side and whispered something, and her eyes were glancing at Sasuke obscurely. As for Nara Shikamaru, he looked bored and began to sleep on the table. Choji was still eating the potato chips in his hand carefully, as if the potato chips in his hand were the most important. Uchiha Sasuke pretended to be cold, but in fact he was still paying attention to when the class would end. He wanted to go home and share his today's events with his brother. Ding ding ding. After a while, the bell rang in the slightly agonizing wait of the crowd. Naruto said hello to Hinata and left. Uchiha Sasuke watched this strange guy in front of him walk through the crowd without any hesitation. This direction, it seems to be the back mountain. Why is he going there? Sasuke looked at this strange man, and he didn't know why he paid attention to this person who didn't seem to be special. If there was anything special, it was that his eyes were very deep. Naruto didn't know at this time that he had been regarded as a strange person, but even if he knew, Naruto would not have any thoughts. The most important thing for him now is to practice and strive to become stronger as soon as possible. Naruto found that when he was in school, the Anbu who was monitoring him disappeared. They probably didn't worry about any danger in the ninja school. Also, the class he was in was a class where all the heirs of the major families were present. If someone dared to do something about it, they would die without knowing how. After leaving the school gate, the feeling of being monitored came to his mind again. After Naruto used Kagura's mind eye to check, he found that the number of Anbu monitoring him had been reduced from 4 to 2. The Anbu who hated him before had disappeared. Maybe he was afraid that the Anbu would hurt him. Naruto came to the place where he usually practiced as usual. This was an open space. Few people came here. It was a good place for practice. What came into view was a stream, which was clear to the bottom, and the pebbles were clearly visible. You could even see some fish poking their heads out. There were several tall trees around, dozens of meters high, with lush leaves. Next to the stream was a very tall rock wall, which looked very dangerous. The distance of dozens of meters was nothing for a ninja. Naruto usually used this rock to practice rock climbing and climb up the high slope above. There are several wooden stakes near the big tree. These were made by Naruto for training. In the eyes of professionals, it may be just a very simple training ground, but for Naruto, this is the only condition. With the power of God rewarding hard work, the progress is far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Just like when Naruto was training, he was not afraid of being observed by the Anbu in the dark. Although Naruto only showed the normal progress of a genius in training, his overall strength improvement was not as shown. Naruto walked to the front of the wooden stakes and began to practice as usual, and began to kick the wooden stakes continuously. A voice began to come intermittently in his mind: physical strength +2, power +1. Physical strength +3, strength +2. Naruto could feel his body getting stronger. As he sweated and his muscles became more tired, he gained more as God rewarded his hard work. After kicking the wooden stake, Naruto began to challenge the cliff in front of him. He could not use chakra to attach, and had to rely on his physical fitness to complete the challenge. This was undoubtedly a challenging thing for a 6-year-old child. But it was no longer a difficult thing for Naruto now, because day after day, Naruto had mastered the master-level rock climbing skills. As Naruto continued to climb, a voice continued to come from Naruto's mind: rock climbing skills +1. Strength +2. Physical fitness +1. Spirit +0.1. That's right, rock climbing training will not only increase Naruto's strength and physical strength, but also strengthen Naruto's mental strength. It may be because training is a matter of tempering the spirit, but now the training is not as difficult for Naruto as before. Therefore, the tempering of the spirit has been reduced, but it will still increase a little mental strength, and Naruto does not dislike it. After all, a little bit adds up to a lot. Naruto can now reach the level of elite genin with just physical skills. It seems that he is not as good as the 6-year-old Kakashi in the original work, but Naruto is higher than Kakashi in overall level. This is mainly because Naruto has no one to teach him, and even his training cannot be fully relaxed. Who taught Kakashi when he was a child? Konoha White Fang. Even the 3 ninjas were not as famous as White Fang at that time. They were considered strong among the cage level. However, Naruto also knows his shortcomings, that is, ninjutsu. If there are ninjutsu now, with Naruto's chakra, Naruto can become a chunin, and his combat power can even reach the level of elite chunin. The reason why combat power is reached is mainly because the knowledge required by ninjas is not only combat power, but also combat experience, intelligence gathering, trap skills, assassination skills, etc. However, Naruto is confident that he can become a strong man with the ability of God's reward for hard work. Naruto has not refined too much chakra now, and he knows the importance of foundation. Besides, there are still 6 years before the start of the plot, so there is no need to rush. If his true strength is exposed, it will be more trouble than gain. Even the 3rd Hokage and Danzo didn't care about Naruto's training in taijutsu. In their eyes, taijutsu was just a minor skill. The achievements that could be achieved were limited. If it weren't for the fact that during the Third World War, Might Guy's father Might Dai used the 8 gates to kick the 7 ninja swordsmen to pieces, they might have paid less attention to taijutsu. Even if Might Dai shone with a moment of light, it was only a moment of brilliance gained by using his life. He was just one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, and in front of a cage-level powerhouse, he was no more than that. As for the current Might Guy, he is just an ordinary jonin. Except for Kakashi, no one knows his potential. Naruto climbed up and down the cliffs again and again, and then lay on the ground, sweat streaming down his cheeks. In fact, Naruto still had 1/3 of his physical strength. My current strength should be able to support my development of the 6 styles. I didn't consider the issue of chakra before. Perhaps I can use the combination of chakra and the 6 styles to practice. It may be easier. Maybe I can even develop my own ninjutsu. At present, my strength is taijutsu, and I only have taijutsu. As for ninjutsu, there is only one, which is the continuous fireball technique. It is quite powerful among the middle and lower ninjas, but it is not powerful enough for the special jonins and above. My mental strength is very strong because I have been a human in 2 lifetimes, and I must master illusions in the future. Although in the original work I relied on the 9-tailed fox to not be afraid of illusions, that was just an ordinary illusion. Now that I have the ability of God rewards hard work, my mental strength in the future will be very terrifying, and I may not be afraid of the kaleidoscope's illusions. Illusion is also a development direction. Besides, I didn't know any other ninjutsu except for the ball rolling technique and the multiple shadow clone technique. It was a complete waste of my own chakra. The other is medical ninjutsu, which can not only heal oneself, but also teammates. It is simply like a nurse. If one can reach Tsunade's level, it is equivalent to being half immortal. My chakra is no less than Tsunade's, maybe it would be nice to get in touch with Tsunade in the future. Naruto slowly thought about his future development in his mind. Oh, there is also a sealing technique. The sealing technique is very magical in Naruto's eyes. Its role has been shown many times in the original work. The barrier is related to the seal. There is also a sealing seal that can create a scroll to store items. It is simply a storage ring in the world of immortal cultivation. If it were someone else, they would probably choose one path, but for me, I can become omnipotent. Naruto thought proudly that the reward from God for hard work gave him the power to do things, and it was no longer twice the result with half the effort, but 10 times the result with one effort, or even more, because the reward from God for hard work could also force Naruto to increase his proficiency in a direction that he didn't understand at all. Even if Naruto had thought about the principle of sealing techniques, he would think, understanding of sealing techniques plus 0.0001. Naruto didn't understand sealing techniques at all. Although the reward from God for hard work could help him understand the existence of sealing techniques, the increased proficiency was pitifully small. Naruto probably thought it was because he knew nothing about sealing techniques. It was a complete blank sheet of paper, so before he got some knowledge of sealing techniques, Naruto didn't plan to study sealing techniques too much. And Naruto's future direction is to focus on physical techniques and ninjutsu, supplemented by illusion techniques and medical ninjutsu. After resting, Naruto did not press his body, but took out the fishing rod that he had hidden long ago, ran to the upstream 100 meters to fish. According to Naruto's observation, the fish here are the most abundant. With Naruto's almost full-level fishing skills, Naruto soon harvested a lot. Looking at the few fish caught in the bucket, Naruto smiled a little, and carried the bucket to the bottom of a cliff a few dozen meters away from the river. There was a small cave inside. This was the hole that Naruto had dug before. It was not big, but it could prevent rainwater from penetrating on rainy days. Putting the bucket near the hole in the wall, Naruto walked out of the cave and came to the woods at a speed beyond ordinary people. There was a trap he left yesterday, a simple hunting trap, a trap figured out for survival, with no technical difficulty, and the third generation did not doubt it. When Naruto came here, there was already a trapped rabbit here. Naruto picked up the rabbit's ears, shook the weight, smiled and said, "Not bad luck." If he didn't catch the prey, Naruto would have to eat the fish he had caught before. He carried the rabbit back to the outside of the cave and took out a kunai from the ninja bag in his pants. This was a gift from the third generation to Naruto on the eve of Naruto's ninja school. He scraped the scales of the fish and cleaned the rabbit skillfully. With the ability of God's way of rewarding hard work and the cooking skills that Naruto had cultivated over the years, he could easily handle these. He skillfully used the kunai to cut a few branches and quickly roasted the rabbit. The fish was cooked in a pot. This was what Naruto asked the third generation for before. The third generation also knew that Naruto often practiced here and cooked for himself, so he purchased an extra set of tableware for Naruto. And because of Naruto's cooking skills, the third generation would also come to eat Naruto's dinner. In fact, the third generation's purpose was to deepen Naruto's feelings for him, and eating was still incidental. However, because of Naruto's superb cooking skills, the third generation was happy to come here. In his mind, Naruto has become very dependent on him, but in fact, Naruto is not interested in his emotional card at all. Isn't it the third Hokage who forced Naruto to become what he is now? If Naruto hadn't come out to be independent, he might still be drinking expired milk and eating poor quality food bought by others. He has the ability to return his parents' house and the assets saved by his parents. As the fourth Hokage, why would he live in a small house? As parents, how could they not leave some assets for him? He originally wanted to make himself a hero of the village, but now, if it were according to his mother's temper, if she knew his life, she would probably want to tear down Konoha. The food was soon finished. Well, my cooking skills have improved again. Licking his lips, Naruto patted his belly, stood up with satisfaction, and began to run towards home. The sun was no longer visible, and the moon was already out. Tomorrow, there were only a few people running fast on the street. Naruto ran quickly and felt a few disgusted looks. He didn't pay much attention to it. He had already gotten used to these looks over the years. Naruto soon returned to his hut. Although it was small, Naruto had tidied it up very cleanly, and it was no longer as messy as in the original book. After returning, Naruto washed off the stinky sweat caused by today's training and soon fell asleep. Sunrise in the morning, Naruto straightened his clothes. There were many kinds of clothes in Naruto's wardrobe. They were no longer the same few sets of clothes in the original work. He asked the third generation to buy them for him because no one would sell him clothes. Of course, the third generation paid for it and occupied his parents' assets. He only had a small amount of pension, so he had to be thick-skinned. Naruto looked in the mirror. Well, he was still very handsome. Now Naruto looked very strong because of sufficient food and training, and his mental outlook was much better. He set out on the road to the ninja school. When Naruto arrived, only some of them had arrived, but Hinata had already arrived. Naruto-kun. Hearing Hinata greet him, Naruto smiled and said, "Hello, Hinata." Hinata's heart was beating fast. Naruto smiled at me. Naruto smiled at me. Seeing Hinata's face turn red again, Naruto's mouth curled up a little smile again. Isn't Hinata attractive? I really don't know how Naruto in the original novel could fall in love with Sakura. After a while, people arrived one after another. As the bell rang, Iruka entered the classroom on time. "Hello everyone, this is our first class, so I won't waste any time. Does anyone know what it takes to become a ninja?" Iruka kept looking at the students in the class, watching them whispering. "Uchiha Sasuke, you tell me something." Sasuke stood up, like a peacock, raised his head and glanced at everyone proudly, then said, "It's chakra." Chakra is a kind of energy extracted from 130 trillion human cells in a specific ratio of mental and physical energy. After that, Uchiha Sasuke sat down proudly, causing a group of crazy women to exclaim. "Very good. Sasuke is right. If you want to become a ninja, the most important thing is chakra. Chakra is the foundation of becoming a ninja. Next, I will teach you how to refine chakra." Iruka's voice was very stable, and he spoke in detail. In this world, even physical ninjas have chakra in their bodies, just like Might Guy and Rock Lee, who also have chakra in their bodies, but their ninjutsu talent is too poor. Everyone listened to Iruka's explanation, and the civilian children listened with fascination and were very serious. After all, this is the foundation of their existence in this world. People in the Naruto world mature early, and children of a few years old have basically the same cognition as teenagers in their previous lives. Naruto looked at the people around him. Shikamaru still looked careless, and Sasuke did not refine chakra. It seems that the children of several large families have practiced chakra in their families. Their foundation has long been different from those ordinary children. The morning time is basically to refine chakra. After all, chakra is the foundation, and in the afternoon it is to conduct theory. Wow, open the book, it is the book of the will of fire. The opening is where the leaves of Konoha fly. The fire is also endless, the flames will illuminate the village and grow new buds. After that, the history of Konoha and the deeds of the first Hokage were introduced, but they were different from what he knew. The third Hokage was really shameless to portray himself as the strongest Hokage in history. There were also some theories that were full of the flavor of pyramid schemes. After being influenced by modern times, Naruto felt that this teaching material was not mature at all. After several days, he was on the way to learn theories, and Naruto went to his small base for training after school as usual. But today Iruka suddenly announced that there would be a practical class today. The practical class is divided into kunai throwing and combat training. This made everyone present very excited. After all, they have been learning boring theoretical knowledge for several days. Naruto didn't think it was difficult. Although his memory has not reached the level of photographic memory, it is not much worse. Even Naruto himself doesn't know how strong his mental strength is now. Following Iruka, we came to the training ground. Although it was a small training ground, it was enough for the students of the ninja school. Next, let's do the kunai throwing training, Iruka said loudly. He asked everyone to line up. There were a total of 10 targets in this training ground. 10 people were in a group and they were throwing kunai. There were about 20 people in their whole class, which meant that 2.5 groups could do one round. Uchiha Sasuke was in the first group and stood side by side. After Iruka gave the order, everyone threw the kunai in their hands at the target. Swish, swish, swish. A few slight sounds of breaking through the air sounded, and soon the kunai was thrown onto the target. It can be clearly observed that Uchiha Sasuke slightly pressed down his wrist when throwing the kunai. Obviously, he had specially trained the kunai training. Uchiha throwing technique. I didn't expect Sasuke to start training now. As for the others, none of them missed the target. The worst was One Ring. Some people seemed to be training kunai throwing for the first time. It seems that they are still a little talented. They are worthy of being Class A. The most dazzling one is Uchiha Sasuke, who actually hit the bull's eye. Uchiha Sasuke, 10 rings. Early Spring Ui, 3 rings. Inuzuka Kiba, 7 rings. Fuji Itsuki, 2 rings. Iruka kept announcing everyone's results, while Uchiha Sasuke raised his proud head again and looked at everyone. Naruto found it funny. After all, he was still a child, with a competitive mentality. Especially Inuzuka Kiba. Seeing Sasuke being warmly welcomed by the girls, he couldn't help but sneer. Huh. What's so great? I just made a mistake just now. Although Inuzuka Kiba had been exposed to the practice of kunai throwing several times in the family, he was not interested at all. He was more interested in the family's ninja dogs. In a few years, he would get his own ninja dog. Naruto was in the second group, and Hinata was there too. He smiled and encouraged Hinata. He knew that the girl needed encouragement. Soon, another round of kunai was thrown, and Naruto deliberately threw 8 rings. With the ability of God rewarding hard work, Naruto quickly mastered the throwing skills and reached the level of proficiency. Now he can throw as many rings as he wants. After all, it is just a dead object that can't move. When he got the kunai, he also used the big tree to practice accuracy. Uzumaki Naruto, 8th ring. Nara Shikamaru, 9th ring. Haruno Sakura, 5 rings. Surprisingly, Haruno Sakura, who had never thrown a kunai, actually threw 5 rings. No wonder she was able to become Tsunade's apprentice later. It seems that she is talented. Although Naruto dislikes Haruno Sakura a little, he has never found any ill will towards him in Haruno Sakura. This may be the reason why Naruto likes Haruno Sakura in the original work. In fact, Haruno Sakura is not ugly, with pink hair and big eyes. She looks quite cute, except that her forehead is a little wide. Basically, she is a kawaii loli. Almost everyone in this class has no ill will towards Naruto, which makes Naruto wonder if they were specially selected. Hyuga Hinata, 9 rings. Soon everyone finished throwing, and 2 people in the last group missed the target. This was normal, but being able to throw accurately for the first time still showed that some people had talent in this area. In the following time, Iruka asked everyone to practice on their own. The first time was just to see how talented everyone was. Of course, it was just to test the talent for kunai. He also knew that some of the family members must have been exposed to kunai training when they were in the family. Naruto was a little bored. It would be better to let him train himself than to let him train this. Practicing these things was simply a waste of his time. After training for more than 2 hours, most people's arms were sore. As for a few people who were lazy, such as Shikamaru, these trainings were too simple for him. As for Choji, I don't know when he took out a bag of snacks and started eating. At this time, Iruka suddenly asked everyone to take a break and conduct actual combat training later. For a while, several people screamed, especially Inuzuka Kiba, who already disliked Uchiha Sasuke. Always stealing his limelight. Half an hour passed quickly. Fuji Itsuki vs. Ono Jiro. Seal of Opposition. Soon the 2 students came to the middle. After forming the seal of opposition, they looked at each other warily, and then rushed towards each other at the same time. There was no beauty in their fight, but both of them used chakra, attached to their hands and feet to make simple attacks. Although they looked small, with the help of chakra, the damage caused by their punches and kicks actually made a dent in the ground. With the help of chakra, the power of the 2 was even more terrifying than that of ordinary adults. It must be said that ordinary people, even children, are more respectful in front of ninjas, because the power of ninjas is like that of gods in their eyes. After the 2 fought for a few minutes, the chakra was almost exhausted. The amount of chakra of the 2 was still too little. After that, the 2 relied on physical strength to fight, and finally Fuji Itsuki slightly defeated Ono Jiro with his physique. Make the seal of reconciliation. After the 2 made the seal of reconciliation, it meant that the previous grudges were wiped out. Soon, the groups of people fought. During the battle, Inuzuka Kiba protested because he was fighting others. He wanted to challenge Uchiha Sasuke. But Iruka refused. Uzumaki Naruto vs. Uchiha Sasuke. Seal of Opposition. After the two of them made the seal of opposition, Naruto had a headache. He knew he couldn't win, otherwise it would definitely attract attention. The news of defeating the son of the Uchiha clan leader would spread everywhere the next day. When Naruto was thinking about how much strength to use, Uchiha Sasuke seized the opportunity and attacked. It must be said that Uchiha Sasuke's attack was much faster than the previous attacks of Fuji Itsuki and Onojiro. Naruto quickly counterattacked and punched Sasuke. So fast, Sasuke sighed, and their fists collided tightly together. Suddenly, a huge force came from his arm. Sasuke endured the numbness of his arm and continued to attack. Naruto felt the power of his attack on Sasuke, and saw that Sasuke could actually bear it. Well, as expected of the second pillar, he can actually withstand 1/20th of his own power. I must survive. I must not expose my strength. The two kept moving around and attacking, and Naruto suddenly found that Sasuke's arm was trembling a little. Second pillar. What are you pretending to be when you can't hold on? Naruto suddenly pretended to be physically exhausted. After fighting with Sasuke for a few minutes, he was kicked by Sasuke and flew out with the force. With Naruto's current superb acting skills, others can't see the problem at all. As for Sasuke, he was a little confused. Is it really physically exhausted? How can he have such great strength? Humph. After all, he is physically weak. The arrogant Sasuke trembled again. Yeah, Sasuke won. Sasuke is awesome. Sasuke's girl group started cheering, causing the boys to gnash their teeth, wondering why they were not as popular. Make the seal of reconciliation. The two made the seal of reconciliation with each other. Although Sasuke's hands were still shaking slightly, he couldn't stop the excitement on his face. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that the two were very strong. If things went as expected, the top student of this class would be born in their hands. The afternoon passed quickly, and when it was time to go home from school, Uchiha Sasuke couldn't wait to pack his school bag and ran home, without even looking at Naruto before leaving. As for Naruto, he did not go to his training ground as usual, but prepared to go to the school library to read some professional books. Because he had learned from Iruka that the school library would be open today. Uchiha Sasuke ran back home at a fast pace. When he reached a telephone pole, a voice suddenly rang out, "Sasuke." Uchiha Sasuke looked up and a look of joy instantly appeared on his little face. "Brother, why are you here?" Seeing Sasuke's happy look, Itachi jumped down from the electric pole. He wanted to wait for Sasuke at home, but his longing for him made him want to wait for him on the road that Sasuke must pass. He stood on the electric pole just to see Sasuke enter his field of vision faster and more clearly. "I have completed my mission. I will wait for you here. I have just arrived for a while." Itachi rarely smiled. At this moment, in front of his brother, Itachi smiled particularly happily. "I will always protect you, Sasuke. Brother, I won the first place in the practical class today. How is it? Awesome, right?" Sasuke said excitedly. "I also met a powerful guy today. If it weren't for his lack of physical strength, I might have lost. Our Sasuke is so awesome." Itachi pinched Sasuke's nose. Itachi touched Sasuke's head, and then said, "Come on up. I'll carry you." Squatting down slowly, Itachi carried Sasuke on his back. Itachi accidentally touched Sasuke's arm, and Sasuke suddenly gasped. Itachi quickly noticed Sasuke's abnormality, and hurriedly put Sasuke down, lifted Sasuke's sleeves, and clearly saw that Sasuke's arms were a little bruised and red and swollen. This was due to the huge external force, and the only thing that could make Sasuke become like this was the practical class that Sasuke mentioned. To have such strength, it shouldn't be due to physical exhaustion. It seems that your classmate is not simple. Itachi squatted down carefully and took out a bottle of swelling spray and a roll of bandage from the ninja bag. Ninjas have to face many things outside, and necessary first aid measures and equipment may save their lives. "Brother, I'm fine. Dad will be unhappy if he sees it." Sasuke pouted. He thought that a night's rest would be enough. It was totally unnecessary. Suddenly Sasuke was stunned for a moment and said, "Brother, how do you know that my classmate is not simple?" "Sasuke, look at your arm, it has become like this, it means his strength is greater than yours, you probably took his attack, you can still win, it means your opponent must be hiding his weakness. Itachi said with a smile, but in fact he was a little confused as to who could beat Sasuke like this. HMPH. Sasuke was a little angry at the moment. No wonder he felt that his victory was a little strange. It turned out that Uzumaki Naruto was pretending to be exhausted. His brother was right. People's physical fitness is proportional. Basically, there is no weak guy with strong strength. That guy has a strong body. Obviously, he exercises regularly and his physical strength must be good. That guy really lost to me on purpose. I will definitely beat him next time. Brother, you have to teach me how to practice. Sasuke clenched his fists. Good, good. Itachi carried Sasuke on his back again, and the two of them left with laughter. Their shadows were very long against the backdrop of the evening sun. On the other hand, Naruto has taken the books he borrowed from the library home and will return them after a week. In the ninja school, it is not like in the village. Although the ninjas in the library hate him, they still give him the books. Naruto borrowed 3 books in total. One is a detailed explanation of illusions, which is a book that specifically introduces illusions and some basic illusion principles. It also records some hand seals related to illusions and countermeasures when encountering illusions. It does not record some methods of practicing illusions. The essence of illusions is to mobilize chakra through hand seals to deceive the enemy's senses. Those who are strong in mental strength and have a talent for illusions basically go the illusion route, such as Yuhi Kurenai. His illusions can even compete with the Sharingan. Of course, it refers to illusions below the Mangekyo. However, the Uchiha family does not rely solely on illusions. It is estimated that they are not the opponent of the Uchiha in a fight. Of course, it refers to the same level. As for the other book, it is a detailed explanation of physical skills, which contains many training methods for basic physical skills. Naruto felt that he had gained a lot. In his mind, Principles of Illusion +5, Principles of Illusion +6, Basic Physical Technique Understanding +3, Basic Physical Technique Understanding +2. Naruto felt that voices kept coming out of his mind after just flipping through the book a few times. His own understanding of illusions also instantly deepened. As for the small increase in physical techniques, Naruto guessed that it might be because he had included some basic physical techniques in his usual training. As for the other book, it was about elementary trap making. Most of the books in the library are basic, and it is estimated that most of the truly valuable ones are hidden in the professional book collections of major families in Konoha. But Naruto is already very satisfied. Basics are sometimes very important. Naruto also saw a very good book, but the maximum he can borrow is 3. The name of the book is called Chakra Properties and Detailed Explanation of Hand Seals. Naruto couldn't wait to borrow it. Then he started flipping through the books. With Naruto's current memory and comprehension, and with the help of the ability of God's reward for hard work, Naruto easily absorbed the contents of the book. Naruto was immersed in the world of the book. When Naruto raised his head, he twisted his neck, which was a little sore, and looked again. It was already midnight. Although Naruto read very quickly, he still finished the book at midnight. After reading 3 books, Naruto felt that his knowledge of illusion, physical skills and trap layout had deepened a lot, and he felt like a person who had been immersed in this for many years. Naruto felt that his knowledge of traps had improved greatly, and the manufacturing of traps and the improvement methods of previous traps involuntarily emerged in his mind. The reason why Naruto chose this elementary trap-making book was because he wanted to use most of his time to practice. Learning trap manufacturing would make hunting easier. Slowly closing the textbook, Naruto was ready to go to bed. Although he had mastered all the knowledge in it, his understanding even exceeded the content in the book. Naruto did not plan to return the books in his hand to the library tomorrow. After all, remembering and understanding 3 books in one night was too much. Most people had a photographic memory, which was already very good. Unlike him, he not only had a nearly photographic memory, but also had a cheating ability like God rewards hard work. Chapter 11. In the early morning of the rising sun, Naruto dressed neatly and prepared to go to the ninja school. He glanced at his hut and planned to go out. Although he went to bed very late, Naruto was quite excited now. He had made another step forward on the road to becoming stronger. With Naruto's current mental strength, he might feel mentally uncomfortable if he didn't sleep for 3 days. 4 hours of rest a day was enough for Naruto to recuperate. Although Naruto only slept for 2 hours last night, he couldn't stop the joy in his heart. Naruto walked out of the door. He was the only one living around. The villagers who lived here before had moved away because he was a so-called demon fox. Naruto was happy to have some peace and quiet. Naruto ran quickly on the road and soon arrived at the school. As always, he greeted Hinata, who blushed slightly. Naruto took out the book in his hand again to review. Although he had basically mastered the content of the book, reviewing would also bring different gains. Principles of Illusion +2. Principles of Illusion +2. Spirit +1. Smells good. The voice that slowly came from his mind made Naruto feel like the sound of nature. Hinata looked at Naruto with a slightly curious look, and her eyes fell on the book that Naruto was reading. The book explained the content of illusion. According to Hinata's knowledge, it should be content that will be taught next year. Unexpectedly, Naruto started to learn this knowledge so early. Hinata couldn't help but look at Naruto's profile and was a little dazed. The serious Naruto was really handsome. After an unknown amount of time, Naruto suddenly saw Hinata staring at him in a daze. Naruto waved his hand in front of Hinata and said, "Hinata, is there a flower on my face?" Hinata suddenly came back to her senses, her face flushed, and she said in a low voice, "No, it's just that Naruto-kun today. Somewhat handsome. Ha ha ha. Hinata is also very cute today." Naruto touched Hinata's head happily, and Hinata's face immediately turned ruddy, as if she was about to faint. Naruto let go of his hand quickly. In the past few days, Naruto basically touched Hinata's head every day. After all, feelings should be cultivated from childhood. As for Haruno Sakura, is she as fragrant as Hinata? After a few days of getting used to it, Hinata's reaction was much smaller. After all, there is only a difference between once and countless times in this kind of thing. Uchiha Sasuke entered the classroom at some point and stared at Naruto inadvertently. Sasuke, who was a little chubby, pretended to have a cold look, which caused several nymphomaniacs to scream again and again. Sasuke looked at Naruto secretly, and saw that Naruto was still flirting with Hinata, and then he started reading the book on the table again. Due to the distance and angle, Sasuke did not see clearly what was written on Naruto's book, but it was certain that it was not the few books that were sent before. Ahem. Everyone, be quiet for a moment. Next, open the textbooks and open the first chapter, Konoha and the Will of Fire. Uruka interrupted everyone's playfulness with the sound of a bell. Naruto also closed the book that explained the principles of illusion and carefully put it into the drawer of his school bag. He took out the book that Naruto felt had no ideological effect, but there was no way, these were all going to be tested and counted into the liberal arts score. But Naruto didn't care. The liberal arts score only accounted for 20%, and the rest was martial arts, including combat. But Naruto still quickly read it several times and memorized it. With Naruto's memory, even Shikamaru couldn't compare to it, but Shikamaru's memory was not much worse, and it was also at the level of almost photographic memory. Sasuke was still quietly looking at Naruto, and suddenly he seemed to have discovered something. Naruto's body was shaking slightly, Sasuke's eyes moved down, and he could vaguely see Naruto's hands were shaking constantly. What is he doing? Sasuke suddenly became curious. No, he is practicing hand seals. Sasuke suddenly discovered Naruto's intention. This guy is still practicing hand seals at this time. He is trying to gain as much time as possible to become stronger at this time. Then this guy is so powerful, how could he ignore his shortcomings? Sasuke is referring to physical strength. Sasuke's physical strength has not actually been trained much. Naruto is working so hard that he should not be weaker than himself in physical strength. It's just like what my brother said, this guy is hiding his abilities. If Sasuke had been influenced by real culture, he would understand that Naruto is hiding his abilities. Sasuke angrily took out another book from the drawer. It contained some brief hand seals, and Naruto was practicing exactly what was on it. After learning, Naruto planned to borrow the advanced version of the chakra properties and hand seals he saw in the library last time. What is recorded in this book is enough for the students of the ninja school to study for a year. Next year, as the amount of chakra increases, the school will teach students the three-body technique. Sasuke took out the book and started practicing according to it. But before, Sasuke having never practiced hand seals, he now seems a little clumsy. He can only make 2 hand seals in 1 second, and sometimes he makes mistakes. Sasuke's slightly violent movements and the fact that he kept his head down attracted Iruka's attention. Although Iruka is a chunin, he is not as good as a chunin who specializes in combat, but he can still easily see what Sasuke is doing. Seeing Sasuke reading a book on hand seals, I was secretly surprised. As expected of a member of the Uchiha family, he now knows the importance of hand seals. Quick hand seals can save time in launching ninjutsu. Sometimes in battle, a moment of time means life. What he didn't know was that Sasuke just didn't want to fall behind Naruto. Uchiha Sasuke-san, please don't do anything that is not related to this class. The content above will be taught later. Seeing that Uchiha Sasuke was not making trouble, Iruka also reminded him, just like before Naruto traveled through time, the teacher in class always didn't like students to learn other courses in his class. Sasuke heard Iruka's voice and his face turned red. Seeing Sasuke nodded and closed the book of hand seals, Iruka slowly explained again. As for Sasuke, he glanced at Naruto. Naruto also saw Sasuke's eyes and couldn't help but smile at Sasuke. He saw Sasuke's movements and guessed that Sasuke might be learning to practice hand seals from him. But he has long been able to do 2 things at the same time, and it is no problem to do hand seals and listen to the class at the same time. What's more, theoretical classes the process was very simple for Naruto. Naruto's smile seemed to be mocking him in Sasuke's eyes. Uzumaki Naruto. Sasuke was roaring in his heart. Sasuke's face, which was a little chubby, looked a little ferocious. Naruto was also a little stunned when he saw Sasuke's appearance. He didn't know how he had offended him. Sure enough, the second pillar still lacks the beating of society. No longer caring about Sasuke, Naruto concentrated on practicing hand seals. Now Naruto can already do about 4.5 hand seals per second without making mistakes, although it is still not as good as Uchiha Itachi's 6 hand seals per second. But with the help of God's reward for hard work, it should not be a problem to surpass Uchiha Itachi in the future. The reason why Naruto learned to make hand seals was because he wanted to understand the principles of hand seal ninjutsu. Only by understanding it can he simplify it in the future. Naruto doesn't want to be like the original who can only make a panacea of rolling balls. Although rolling balls is also very powerful, the shortcomings are also very obvious. If it weren't for the 9 tails and the protagonist's halo, I don't know how many times he would have died. Hatake Kakashi in the original work is also known as Hatake 50-50. It is precisely because he knows a lot of ninjutsu that he can basically formulate strategies and attack in a variety of ways when facing any kind of enemy. He was a genin at the age of 5, a chunin at the age of 6, a jonin at the age of 12, and developed the Reikiri that cuts off lightning at the age of 13. This is an S-level ninjutsu, and there was also an A-level Chidori before. From this point of view, Hatake Kakashi is simply a super genius, but later because of Obito's incident, he directly fell, and then he didn't advance to the level of Kage for so many years. It was mainly due to the Sharingan. The Sharingan could not be closed on foreigners, and would even absorb their own chakra. This also caused Kakashi to become a mana-consuming user. However, Kakashi's slow progress in strength was not entirely due to the Sharingan. It was mainly due to his addiction to pornographic texts and his numbness to the death of his friends. Even Hatake's swordsmanship was put down. But Kakashi's talent could not be denied. As for chakra, Naruto said, "Is this chakra?" It's called Chatanla in his case. There is also a power bank in the body, although it cannot be used yet. Naruto was also very strange about the 9 tails. It stands to reason that with his mental power, it should be enough to enter the mental space, but I don't know why he has not entered the mental space for a long time. It should be that the 9 tails is still unwilling to see Naruto. Naruto didn't care, and worked hard to improve his strength. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Soon Iruka's theory class ended. The next class was a class called Mizuki Teacher, which was also a theory class. Compared with Iruka's class, Mizuki's class was more boring, which directly made the people headed by Shikamaru fall asleep. Mizuki is not Iruka, and dares to reprimand everyone. Many of the little ancestors here are heirs of big families, and he can't afford to offend them. However, he looked at Naruto with fierce eyes. But he couldn't find any faults, because Naruto behaved very well and listened attentively throughout the whole process. In fact, he was practicing hand seals and thinking about the knowledge in his mind. There is no problem with hand seal training as long as chakra is not mobilized, but if chakra is mobilized randomly, it will also cause big problems. At the least, you need to rest for a few days, and at the worst, your tendons and veins will be damaged. Even worse, you may lose arms and legs. The afternoon class is still a practical class, which is simple for Naruto. Kunai throwing training and shuriken training, Naruto performed well. The best performer is Uchiha Sasuke. I don't know why, Naruto always feels that Sasuke is staring at him. Could he be? Naruto shook his head quickly, and drove the terrible idea out of his mind. During the battle training, Naruto fought against Inuzuka Kiba. At the beginning, Inuzuka Kiba was still determined to defeat Naruto. A few minutes later, Naruto defeated Inuzuka Kiba and won Inuzuka Kiba's respect. In his opinion, Naruto's attack and defense were flawless. He estimated that Naruto's strength should be stronger than this. He probably saved face for himself. This made Inuzuka Kiba inexplicably more favorable to Naruto. Even Iruka couldn't help but nod his head after seeing it. There was nothing wrong with Naruto's attack and defense, but his physical strength was still a little lacking. In fact, this was just what Naruto showed deliberately. Even so, it was already very powerful. If it weren't for the fact that he exposed a little bit of his strength when fighting with Sasuke, Naruto would have to disguise his strength and barely maintain the appearance of being in the top 5 in the class. Naruto was not afraid of the suspicion of the third generation. After all, it was a great thing for him to be in the forefront among many family children without anyone teaching him. The Anbu members who were secretly monitoring him would not doubt him. Who made the ability of God's reward for hard work really abnormal? Although Naruto did not have any system, he enjoyed the process of becoming stronger, just like opening 10 times the experience points, so cool. After finishing the afternoon class, Naruto went to his training ground again, and the feeling of being monitored came to his mind again. Naruto used Kagura's mind eye to sense it. To Naruto's surprise, there was only one person monitoring him now. Did he gain some trust in the heart of the third generation? Naruto didn't care much, but this was a good thing. Running quickly on the road to the back mountain, Naruto was ready to practice as usual. Suddenly, Naruto heard a voice. He couldn't help but be a little curious. Naruto walked to the location of the voice. 200 meters away from his training place, there was a little kid practicing here. The reason why it is called a little kid is that the man in front of him is not very old. He looks about 6 or 7 years old. At this moment, sweat has soaked his whole body. But the training did not stop, and finally kept shouting, 1397. 1398. 13. It was as if the sound was his motivation. Looking at the boy who was working hard in front of him, let's call him a boy. The pot-covered hair, thick eyebrows, and white shirt with a slight grayish yellow, although it was a little different from the figure in Naruto's mind, Naruto still recognized him. He was Rock Lee in the original work, also known as Rock Lee. Now he hasn't put on the strange green tights, but his hard training life has already begun. Naruto still has some admiration for this boy. Every hard-working person should not be underestimated. In the original work, Shaoli actually beat Sasuke when he first appeared. When he opened the 5th gate of the 8 gates of ninja, Duman, he had the ability to rival ordinary Jonin in a short period of time. But in the end, he was defeated by Gaara. Although Gaara was only 12 years old, he had killed several ordinary Jonin. At that time, Naruto and Sasuke made rapid progress. Naruto grew from an ordinary genin to an elite chunin in half a year. With the help of rolling balls, he could reach the level of a special jonin. Uchiha Sasuke was similar. With the help of Sharingan and Chidori, he also exceeded the average elite chunin. But it only refers to pure strength. Other aspects are far behind. Of course, this refers to the original work. Now with Naruto's arrival, the butterfly's wings have been flapping. After practicing squats, Shaoli began to punch in front of him. In Naruto's opinion, this kind of exercise is a bit inefficient. With the passive growth of God's reward for hard work and the basic physical skills that he mastered last night, Naruto still has some insights into the practice of physical skills. Hello, can I interrupt you for a moment? Naruto's voice was clear and loud. Xiao Li, who was interrupted, looked up and saw a boy who looked about the same as himself standing in front of him, with deep eyes and an indescribable temperament. Looking at Naruto in front of him, Xiao Li was a little surprised, but he still stopped. Looking at Naruto puzzledly, he said, "Hello. What can I do for you? Are you practicing taijutsu?" Naruto said softly. "That's right. I firmly believe that even if I don't know any ninjutsu or illusion, I can still reach the top with my physical skills. Become a great ninja." The eyes of Rock Lee with the pot-covered hair radiated a dazzling light. "I also believe that you can become a great taijutsu ninja." Naruto smiled and praised. "Hey, do you also think that you can become a real ninja by relying on physical skills?" Rock Lee thought that he would be laughed at by Naruto, but he didn't expect that Naruto actually recognized his ninja way. For a moment, he couldn't help but burst into tears. This was the first time he got recognition from his peers. Although he had long been accustomed to being laughed at by others, he still felt a sense of joy from the heart when he got recognition from others. "Well, I think taijutsu is very promising." Naruto's words are not false. In the later era, after the Otsutsuki clan appeared, ninjutsu was almost useless. They could only rely on senjutsu and taijutsu. Naruto and Sasuke's taijutsu were also honed to a very high level in the battle with the Otsutsuki. But the Otsutsuki not only possessed taijutsu, but also the ability of eye techniques. So Naruto would not give up practicing taijutsu. If possible, Naruto would also develop related taijutsu moves, such as the 6 styles that Naruto is conceiving. In addition, the power of senjutsu is also what Naruto wants. Getting the power of senjutsu means having with the keys to the Super Cage level and the 6 Paths level. In the world of Naruto, there are always several ways to become a 6 Paths level. Gather the tailed beasts to become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki, and condense the truth-seeking jade. Become a 6 Paths level powerhouse. The lifespan and life level of this level of powerhouse have been transformed, but there is still a limit on the lifespan. The second is that the Sage of 6 Paths personally comes down and bestows the power of the 6 Paths, which can temporarily become the level of the 6 Paths. This is the case with Naruto and Sasuke in the original work, but Naruto now does not prefer this method. Another way is to practice the celestial arts to an extremely high level. Although the masters of the 3 sacred places have never taken action, her strength is definitely extraordinary. She fooled the 6 Paths Sage into attacking Kagaya in front of the Great Toad Sage, and even taught the 6 Paths Sage to practice magic. She also survived after the 6 Paths Sage's physical body died. She is probably also a 6 Paths level existence, but she should not be a match for the Otsutsuki clan. Moreover, magic can be regarded as the real native power of the ninja world. The chakra was actually brought by Kagaya, so Kagaya is also called the ancestor of chakra. There is also a bloodstain net, which integrates the chakra attributes of wind, thunder, water, fire, earth, yin and yang. However, no one in the original work has been able to achieve this level in this way without any external force. Reach the 6 Paths mode. The last one is the Samsara Eye mode, but Naruto doesn't know yet whether the power of the Samsara Eye has reached the real 6 Paths level, but he thinks it should have reached it, because the truth-seeking jade appeared on Tonari in the original work. However, it may be because of the trick. Tonari was defeated by Naruto and the 9 Tails before his power reached the peak. And judging from the different levels of the 6 Paths in the original work, the 6 Paths level should also be divided into strong and weak. Coming back to his senses, Naruto looked at Xiao Li in front of him and said, "Although you can rely on physical skills to achieve the peak, physical skills are not practiced like this. You have been practicing basic movements such as running, kicking, push-ups, squats, and straight punches. Although these movements can help you improve your physical fitness, as time goes by, it is extremely difficult to maintain this progress. Not everyone has the ability to work hard." Naruto silently added in his heart. Naruto picked and chose the basics of physical skills that he had summarized and told Xiao Li. Xiao Li was shocked when he heard Naruto's methods of practicing physical skills, because in Xiao Li's opinion, these methods were simply linked together and had never been heard of in the ninja school. He had practiced what the school teacher taught before. After years of practice, he could improve his physical fitness, and even had weight training afterwards. However, he was still young and should not bear weights, otherwise he might not grow tall. Physical skills in this world are not taken seriously, because physical training requires not only talent, but also huge financial support and years of time. Few people can persist. Learning an advanced ninjutsu is equivalent to several years of practice. In this world where fighting may break out at any time, who will concentrate on learning physical skills? Might Guy and Shaoli can achieve achievements that ordinary people cannot because they can only learn physical skills and persevere. This is also the reason why Naruto is willing to mention because of Shaoli. Naruto did not have any hope that he could become Naruto's helper in the future. In fact, Naruto has slowly formed a set of physical training in his mind, which can further strengthen his physical fitness, but Naruto dare not give this to Shaoli now. What he just told Shaoli is actually enough for Shaoli to practice for 2 years. If the contents taught in the school are practiced for many years, they may cause hidden injuries. This is also the reason why there are fewer physical ninjas. After mastering the basic physical training, you can start to learn the practice of force techniques, but these contents are hidden and basically will not be taught to students in the ninja school. As for Naruto's thoughts on physical training, Naruto dare not reveal them at this stage. These can also be understood as Naruto's extraordinary talent and his own summary. In addition, the third-generation Hokage does not pay much attention to physical training. If Naruto's physical training can lead to the overall strengthening of physical ninjas, then Naruto will definitely fall into a heavy arrow. No matter how evil you are, if you behave in an unreasonable way, there may be problems. Wow, wow, wow. You are so kind. Tell me such a precious training method. Rock Lee rushed over excitedly, grabbed Naruto's legs, and rubbed his snot and tears on Naruto's body. Get out of here, I'm not gay. Naruto suddenly felt a chill and kicked Shaoli away. Shaoli was kicked to the side of the tree and was shocked to find that he didn't feel any pain. This made Shaoli think that Naruto was a genius in physical skills. Although Naruto's words made him a little confused, what is my grass, what is the old chicken? I want to eat grass. The chicken is old. Although it may not be this meaning, Shaoli knew that he had offended Naruto. Shaoli hurriedly stood up, bowed deeply, and said, I'm very sorry. I'm just too excited. Thank you for teaching me such a precious training method. Rock Lee's eyes seemed to be shining when he looked at Naruto. Naruto was not only the first man who recognized his endurance, but also the first person to teach him physical training. Naturally, there was also a strange uncle in green clothes who recognized him before, saying that he could consider accepting him as a disciple after observing for a period of time. But Shaoli hoped to get recognition from his peers. After hearing Naruto's insights on physical skills, Shaoli looked at Naruto with admiration. Hello, may I ask your name? Shaoli unconsciously added a respectful word to Naruto's address. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. You don't have to be so polite, this is just my humble opinion. Naruto also responded with a smile. Indeed, his physical skills are not so shocking, but they are much better than what he taught in school. Naruto-kun, can I train with you? Shaoli asked again, his eyes full of desire. Of course, you can come with me. Naruto brought Shaoli to his previous training ground. Shaoli was a little surprised to see this simple but well-equipped training ground. Is this your training ground, Naruto-kun? Shaoli couldn't help but take a closer look at the surrounding layout and environment, and found that this place was much better than the place where he practiced. Just call me Naruto, you're welcome. I usually practice here. Naruto said as he walked towards the direction where he usually set traps. Shaoli didn't say anything, just followed Naruto, his eyes flashing with curiosity. After a while, the two walked to the side of the trap. There was no prey in the trap. It seemed that the prey had also learned it. Naruto looked at the trap he had made before again. After learning how to set the trap, Naruto suddenly felt that the trap in front of him was so simple. He dismantled it directly. Naruto used the knowledge he had learned before to make a few traps and arrange them around, which looked a bit hidden. After doing this, Naruto turned around and said to Shaoli, Shaoli, be careful of the traps when you come here next time. There are usually no one here except me. Naruto-kun. Naruto, what are you doing with these traps? Xiaoli wanted to call Naruto-kun, but suddenly remembered that Naruto asked him to call him by his name. This is the trap I use for hunting, and it is also the source of my meat. Only sufficient meat can ensure better training. Naruto's firm words made Xiaoliu a little hesitant. Seeing Xiaoli's hesitation, Naruto said, "You don't think I'm a family member or something, I'm an orphan." "Ah, sorry, Naruto, I didn't know you were an orphan." Xiaoli was a little surprised and apologized quickly. He didn't expect Naruto to be an orphan like himself. "It's okay, Xiaoli. I'm going to start training next." Naruto started training as usual. His training intensity was no less than Xiaoli's, and he finished faster. There were also some training methods that Xiaoli didn't know. Some were the training methods that Naruto had told Xiaoli before. Xiaoli started training according to the method Naruto had told him before. For a while, there were only two figures who were training hard under the morning sun. Time passed slowly. Since the last time, Xiaoli often waited for Naruto at the place where Naruto practiced. After inquiring about some news about Naruto, Xiaoli was a little shocked. He didn't expect that Naruto was 1 year younger than him. Naruto's maturity, hard work and strength were deeply imprinted in Xiaoli's heart. Although Naruto was younger than him, Xiaoli had already regarded Naruto as an elder brother. After learning about Naruto's treatment in the village, Xiaoli took the initiative to help Naruto buy food. It was mainly some green vegetables and the like. As an orphan, Xiaoli didn't have much money to buy meat, and he didn't have it often. On the contrary, after following Naruto, he had enough meat every day. Coupled with the exercise methods taught by Naruto, Xiaoli obviously felt his own progress. After saying goodbye to Xiaoli, Naruto returned home and lay on the bed. Looking at the ceiling, should I develop a way to communicate without being discovered by the Anbu? Naruto felt deeply troubled by the Anbu. Every time he didn't dare to let go of his training, it was because of the existence of the Anbu. Even the training methods he sorted out during this period, he didn't dare to teach Xiaoli, for fear of attracting the attention of the third-generation Old Fox and the Nabekiage Danzo. If it weren't for the ability of God's reward for hard work, these physical trainings would be useless to Naruto. Naruto needs more intensive training. However, if the intensity of training is increased, Naruto will inevitably expose his physical fitness close to that of a Chunin. If he adds sufficient chakra and ninjutsu, Naruto will be extremely dazzling. Naruto began to think of ways to communicate without making any sound. Code. No, don't underestimate the qualities of being a ninja. It would be great if there was a phone. Naruto suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Yes. Why not make a phone? Chakra is a fusion of human spirit and life energy, and has the ability to transmit information. Naruto's body even has the chakra consciousness of the 4th generation Hokage and Uzumaki Kushina, which shows that chakra is a carrier that can carry information very well. If I can convert sound into chakra, and then into sound, it can appear in another person's mind, and even form my own consciousness in the mind of others, so that communication will not be difficult at all. Naruto sat cross-legged, making the Anbu who was monitoring him mistakenly think that Naruto was refining chakra. In fact, Naruto was constantly thinking in his mind. If Naruto developed it himself, it would probably take several years, but Naruto had a cheat. Chakra sound transmission concept +2. Chakra sound transmission concept +3. From time to time, a sound like the sound of nature came from Naruto's mind. The next day, Naruto, who had been thinking all night, was unable to fully materialize his ideas. Either the signal was unstable or the sentences were unclear. Naruto kept experimenting in his mind. Naruto built a place to store information in his mind, using chakra as a carrier. The sound was transmitted from it and then transmitted to the brain. This is to prevent damage to the brain. After several failures, Naruto felt that if he was given a few more days, he should be able to successfully develop it. Naruto was still constantly thinking about the ideas in his mind at school. 2 more days passed, and Naruto felt that his spirit was already very exhausted. Hinata, you help me keep an eye on him for a while, I'm going to take a break. Naruto said to Hinata next to him, and then he fell asleep on the table. Sasuke, who often paid attention to Naruto, had been practicing hard for a while and could practice his seals while listening to the class. Seeing Naruto sleeping on the table, Sasuke didn't think Naruto was being lazy. In his mind, he kept thinking about Naruto's exhaustion from practicing every day after he returned. Uzumaki Naruto. Sasuke felt that he had to work harder. Although he had always been the best in everyone's eyes, he felt that if Uzumaki Naruto didn't hide his strength, he might not be able to defeat him. Another 2 days passed. Naruto showed a surprised expression. He finally succeeded. He even upgraded it. He called the move he developed the Chakra Dialogue Room or Chakra Chat Room. Not only can it transmit sound, but after Naruto established a chakra consciousness space, he can let different people show their appearance in it through chakra links. It can support single and multiple people. The communication between the two people takes place in their minds and will not be noticed by outsiders at all. This was created by Naruto with reference to the chat group in his previous life. Chakra acts as a signal and a carrier. There is still room for improvement in the future. In classrooms, Naruto looked at Hinata, who was listening to the class attentively, and suddenly wanted to try out the chakra dialogue room he developed. He carefully connected the chakra to it. Hinata, can you hear my voice? Hinata was listening to the teacher's lecture attentively. In this class, the one with the best theoretical performance was Haruno Sakura, followed by Hinata. Hinata was a little surprised, because she actually heard Naruto's voice in her mind. She was very sure that Naruto did not speak. She tilted her head to look at Naruto, who looked directly at the blackboard and did not speak. Am I hallucinating? I was actually thinking about Naruto-kun during class. Hinata's face instantly turned red, and her fair neck and face were stained with a touch of bright red. Ha ha ha, Hinata is so cute today. Hinata, you heard it right, it was me who was speaking in your mind. Don't be surprised, this is a new technique I developed, you have to keep it secret. Naruto's voice sounded in her mind again, and Hinata was surprised. It was Naruto who could develop such a magical ninjutsu. Try to use your chakra to touch the light spot in your mind. Hinata felt it and found that there was indeed a light spot. She slowly mobilized her chakra and touched the light spot. Hinata felt a suction force taking her chakra to somewhere. At this moment, Hinata's consciousness carrier has been formed with the help of the chakra dialogue room, and Hinata feels that the chakra in her body seems to be a little less, but there is basically no impact. When she came to this space, Naruto was already standing in front of Hinata, and Hinata could still feel the situation outside, but she would be slightly distracted. There should be no problem after adapting. In front of Naruto was an open space, green and with blue sky and white clouds. This was just a consciousness space. These scenes were actually thought up by Naruto and could be changed at any time. But now only Naruto has the authority to change the background. But it is very simple to obtain the authority to change. As long as Naruto records the nature of the other party's chakra and allows the authority to change, it will be fine. Naruto-kun. It's so magical. Hinata looked at everything in front of her and felt very magical. She gently touched the surrounding scene and felt that it was real. In fact, this is because Hinata is now a conscious body. Naruto-kun, how did you do this? Ha ha ha, I worked hard to research this for a long time. Chakra is a very magical energy, and it is composed of human spirit and life energy in cells. Because of the existence of human spirit, it can naturally become a carrier for spreading information and Naruto talked a lot. Hinata felt that Naruto was so powerful. Although she didn't understand what Naruto was saying, she thought Naruto was so powerful. The two of them exchanged several times in the conversation room and then exited the consciousness space. Naruto also told Hinata how to enter the consciousness space. Naruto built a chakra conversation room in his mind, which was equivalent to the server in his previous life. As long as he connected to the server through chakra, he would be connected to the consciousness space. Now Naruto is the only one who maintains the consciousness space. If other people also learn this ninjutsu, they can build a larger consciousness space together. Naruto can achieve this level thanks to his strong mental strength. Soon, this class was over, and the next class was to refine chakra. After all, chakra is the foundation. There are not extracurricular practical classes every day. For example, today, the whole day is theoretical courses. However, this course also passed quickly. After school, Naruto said goodbye to Hinata and hurried to his training ground. On the way, Naruto, who had a strong sense, suddenly found a small tail. Naruto used his perception to check, and a familiar chakra appeared in Naruto's perception. It turned out to be Uchiha Sasuke. For some reason, he actually followed him. Feeling Sasuke's poor tracking skills, Naruto almost couldn't help but expose him. There was also the Anbu who supervised him on a daily basis. Naruto ignored Sasuke, but in order to maintain his daily personality, Naruto continued to travel at the same speed as usual. When he arrived, Xiaoli was already waiting here. Xiaoli did not start practicing, but was quietly waiting for Naruto's arrival. However, there were 2 wild rabbits beside him, and there were several big fish in the bucket under his feet. Naruto saw Xiaoli and couldn't help but smile a little. Xiaoli and his friends had to finish school earlier than them. Naruto was used to this kind of thing. Naruto walked to Xiaoli's side, took the prey beside Xiaoli, and walked to the cave he had made before. The cave was now very different. With Xiaoli's arrival, Naruto widened the cave a little more. The 2 of them built this temporary camp together. There were some green vegetables in it, all bought by Xiaoli. Naruto gave Xiaoli his money to buy these ingredients. Before Xiaoli came, Naruto would find some wild vegetables in the mountains and forests by himself. With Naruto's cooking skills, even ordinary wild vegetables become delicious. The reason why Xiaoli is waiting for Naruto now is actually waiting for Naruto to cook. After a few times, Xiaoli was conquered by Naruto's cooking skills. Xiaoli, set up the pot. Yes, Xiaoli shouted seriously. Before training, replenish nutrition first, and then turn the nutrition into strength. A balanced diet can increase the effect of training. This is what Naruto said. Although Xiaoli didn't know how powerful it was, after a few days, the fatigue from training was not as strong as before. Sasuke in the dark just watched the 2 of them. He thought that Naruto was secretly training here, but he didn't expect that Naruto was having a picnic here. The aroma of food gradually drifted into Sasuke's nose, making Sasuke, who hadn't eaten, instantly hungry. The stomach made a sound unconsciously, which instantly attracted Xiaoli's attention. Who is it? Xiaoli's eyes instantly looked towards the bush where Sasuke was hiding. Seeing that he was discovered, Sasuke had no choice but to come out. This scene made him very embarrassed. I was just passing by, do you believe it? Seeing Naruto and Xiaoli looking at him like idiots, Sasuke gritted his teeth and said angrily, Uzumaki Naruto. Fight with me. Xiaoli, this is my classmate. Looking at the nervous Xiaoli, Naruto explained to Xiaoli, then turned his head to look at Sasuke and said, Sasuke classmate, don't be anxious, you haven't eaten yet. Let's eat together first. Sasuke swallowed his saliva, and the fragrant smell in front of the 2 of them reached Sasuke's nose again, and his stomach growled again. Humph, I'm just afraid that I'm not full and it affects my performance. Sasuke found an excuse for himself and sat down. Hearing Naruto say that Sasuke was his classmate, Xiaoli also relaxed. Naruto took a bowl and chopsticks to Sasuke, and Sasuke hurriedly began to try it, picked up a piece of meat and put it in his mouth. Sasuke, who thought it was just a good taste, was instantly covered with a delicious taste. Sasuke's eyes lit up instantly. It was so delicious, could this be the reason why Uzumaki Naruto is so strong? Of course, this idea only lasted for a moment. In Sasuke's intuition, Naruto's strength must be very strong. Judging from his previous strength, the practice of seals in class, and the surrounding arrangements, Naruto's strength must be very strong. Patting his stomach, Sasuke felt very satisfied. Although the food and equipment in front of him looked very simple, he felt that even if it was, well, even if the meatballs were fed to me by my brother himself, they would probably taste like this. Sasuke, who was full and satisfied, patted his stomach with satisfaction and said casually, Naruto, do you come here to practice every day? Of course, how can youth be easily slack? Sasuke. Xiaoli said suddenly. Looking at Xiaoli's shining teeth, Sasuke felt a little shocked. Sasuke, who was full, no longer had the idea of fighting with Naruto now. Instead, he became interested in the training ground where Naruto and Xiaoli were. This place was like a secret base for Naruto and Xiaoli. In fact, it was indeed a secret base belonging to the 2 of them. This was full of temptation for Sasuke, who was still a child. How cool it would be to have his own secret base. With the friendship of having eaten together, Sasuke consciously incorporated himself into Naruto's small group. Can I practice with you? Sasuke proposed his own idea. If he practiced with Naruto himself, he would definitely be able to clearly see Naruto's strength. This was Sasuke's inner thought. And for Sasuke, although Naruto was a little strange, compared to other children, Naruto had an inexplicable sense of maturity, which made Sasuke a little convinced of Naruto. Oh, do you want to practice with me too? Naruto was a little surprised. Why did Uchiha Sasuke feel so clingy now? Ever since the last battle, Naruto found that Sasuke was always secretly paying attention to him. Naruto didn't think he was so attractive. After thinking about it, there was only one possibility, that is, the chakra of Ashura and Indra. They are like fate, making the two entangled, which can be seen from the original work. With more contact with Uchiha Sasuke, Naruto was worried that it would attract the attention of the third generation and Uchiha Itachi, which would not be in line with his low-key purpose. If he refused Sasuke, he was afraid that he would find a way to pester him. In this case, it would be better to accept Uchiha Sasuke. Suddenly Naruto's eyes lit up and said, "Ahem. It's not impossible for you to join us, but I have a request, that is, if you can teach me your method of shadow clone technique, I will allow you to join us." Xiao Li, show him what you can do. As Naruto winked at Xiao Li also understood, stood up, and kicked at the wooden stakes they usually practiced with. Xiao Li's speed was so fast that even Sasuke was a little slow to react. Snap, snap, snap. In Sasuke's surprised eyes, Xiao Li directly kicked the wooden stakes on the ground and broke them. Although these wooden stakes were not the special wooden stakes used in the ninja training ground, Xiao Li's level was also at the level of a senior grade since he could kick them. See, you can reach my level as long as you train well with Naruto. Xiao Li understood Naruto's eyes. It was obvious that Naruto was very concerned about the ninjutsu called Shadow Clone. Naruto, you are really not simple, Sasuke said with a little surprise. The pot-cut kid in front of him obviously focused on Naruto, so Naruto's level was self-evident, at least not worse than the thick-browed kid in front of him. One day I will surpass you, Naruto. Sasuke was obviously very confident in his talent. As long as he practiced with Naruto and the others every day, he would definitely surpass Naruto soon with his talent. Sasuke, who had not been beaten by society, obviously had a lot of confidence in himself. Sasuke narrowed his eyes, and the expression on his face kept changing. The main reason he proposed to train with Naruto was to observe Naruto's strength at all times. But little did he know that his thoughts were basically on his face. After all, he was still a child. Itachi protected Sasuke very well. Unlike Itachi, he followed his father to the battlefield when he was a child and understood the cruelty of war early on. Shadow clone technique. Just wait for me, Sasuke shouted in response. Then he started to run towards home. Xiao Li looked at Sasuke, who was running away in shame, and said strangely, "Naruto, do you want that shadow clone technique?" Naruto did not speak, turned and walked towards the training ground. Suddenly a voice sounded in Xiao Li's mind. "Xiao Li, don't be surprised, this is the ninjutsu I developed. In order to prevent ears on the other side of the wall, I will tell you some important things here to prevent our conversation from being leaked." Naruto did not tell Xiao Li about the Anbu. It was not the right time. That's why he said this. "Next, I will tell you some advanced training methods for physical skills, as well as my training methods for the 6 styles," Naruto said in the consciousness space. At the same time, Naruto also inadvertently strengthened his mental strength to prevent Xiao Li from making a sound because of his composure. Through the superficial knowledge of illusion learned before, coupled with Naruto's own exploration and huge mental power, Naruto can already mobilize the power of the mind. This made Xiao Li almost no emotional waves. Although shocked, he accepted it in a short time. This magical consciousness space made him think that Naruto was a super genius. And now, Xiao Li slowly accepted the physical skills knowledge passed on by Naruto. The moment he came into contact with this knowledge, Xiao Li's body trembled involuntarily. The external bodies of the two did not stop. Only a small part of their consciousness was scattered in the consciousness space. In the meantime, it's like a person driving and talking on the phone at the same time. It's not that they can't do both at the same time, but their attention will be distracted. Xiao Li felt the knowledge passed on by Naruto. There were many ways to exert force in physical techniques and methods of physical training. At the same time, there were also Naruto's ideas and training methods about the 6 styles. Although they were not perfect yet, they could definitely be practiced. This made Xiao Li tremble greatly. Naruto shared such a precious thing with him without hesitation. Looking at the still immature conjecture about the 6 styles, Xiao Li knew that this was probably all of Naruto's knowledge of physical techniques. Although Xiao Li usually looks a bit innocent, Xiao Li knows what these mean. These are basically the core contents of the family. Naruto. At this moment, Xiao Li didn't know what to say, and his voice seemed a little choked. Stop being so hypocritical. Naruto punched Li's shoulder lightly with his fist. Suddenly Li saw Naruto was stunned, and Naruto said in a very serious tone, "Li, if one day, I will be the enemy of Konoha, or even the whole world, will you stand on my side?" Li was stunned for a moment when he heard Naruto's cold words. At this moment, he felt that Naruto had many secrets. Being the enemy of Konoha. Li had never had this idea in his mind. He was shocked by what Naruto said. As for being the enemy of the world, this idea was too far-fetched. Naruto, why do you have this idea? Xiao Li hesitated for a moment and did not answer immediately. Li, this world is not that simple, and Konoha is not purely peaceful. As for me, my identity is more than just an orphan. As for why, I can't answer you now. Naruto did not intend to tell Li everything. He said this just to see if Li could get his real training. If Li insisted on standing on the side of Konoha, then what he gave Li now was everything. Naruto had recorded this conversation with his mental power. If Li leaked this, Naruto's tampered mental power would explode and turn Li into an idiot. Based on Naruto's understanding of Li, Li would not tell anyone what he said, but Naruto took out an insurance policy. After all, it was for his own safety. Once exposed to Konoha, he would be doomed. Li recalled everything in his mind, showing his iconic teeth, and said, "I am very excited to be recognized by Naruto-kun. My ninja way is to bloom for my friends. If Naruto-kun is in danger one day, please step over my dead body first." Naruto smiled. He was very happy at this moment. The two of them did not continue talking afterwards, and continued their previous training. Xiao Li felt that he was closer to Naruto. He could feel that Naruto had many secrets, just like Naruto was able to obtain so many training methods at his current age, and Naruto's deep eyes and maturity made Xiao Li feel that Naruto was carrying a lot. However, no matter what Naruto wants to do, I will just accompany Naruto firmly. My ninja way is always blooming for Naruto. Although Xiao Li is still young, Naruto's sincerity and the charm of Naruto conquered him. He is also willing to give everything for his friends. If Naruto is in danger one day, just step over my body first. In Xiao Li's heart, Naruto is like a beam of light, shining into his heart. The former Might Guy was a warm breeze, and the current Naruto is like a beam of sunshine, completely opening his heart. Might Guy and Xiao Li's relationship is not deep yet, because Xiao Li has not been officially accepted by Might Guy yet. Disciple, the relationship between the two has not yet been cultivated. Although Xiao Li has always said that he can become a great ninja with physical skills, he is also confused. Now, he sees the prospects of physical skills in the 6 styles given by Naruto. After knowing that Naruto has been carrying something, Xiao Li practiced even harder. People in the Naruto world mature early, and their awareness is also very high. People like Xiao Li even regard what they say as the way of ninja and implement it throughout their lives. The next day, classes were still the same as usual, but Naruto still felt a little relieved. After all, he was alone before, but now he has Xiao Li, and the feeling of being surrounded by enemies is finally less. Today, Uchiha Sasuke did not come to Naruto immediately. Maybe he has not learned how to practice Shadow Clone, or he chose to refuse. No matter which choice he makes, Naruto will not lose money, as it is a no-cost business. Naruto still practices as usual, and teasing Hinata on a daily basis is one of the few pleasures he has. On the 5th day, Sasuke caught up with Naruto again, but this time Naruto did not leave the ninja school, because after leaving the ninja school, the Anbu will catch up again. "Why are you following me?" Sasuke looked at Naruto and said hesitantly, "Don't you need the training method of Shadow Clone? I have learned it. Now I can follow you to practice, right? Oh, are you really going to practice with me? Let me make it clear first, you can practice with me, but don't reveal your relationship with me, and don't tell anyone about my strength at school," Naruto said softly. Sasuke listened to the conditions Naruto talked about. It was basically not an important matter. And wouldn't it be good to let others see your strength? Sasuke, who cared about the glory of Uchiha, didn't understand what Naruto was thinking now. In his opinion, they should perform well so that others know how powerful they are. Uchiha is the #1 family in Konoha. Then the two went to the training ground together. Shaoli had already started practicing. After getting Naruto's advanced version of training, Shaoli began to practice hard. Although he didn't know why Naruto said that revealing his true strength would only burst out 1/3 of his strength after training. Although puzzled, Shaoli still chose to listen to Naruto's words, and according to Naruto, a person must have at least multiple trump cards to survive in this world. After a period of brainwashing by Naruto, Shaoli also understood the importance of hiding his shortcomings. Shaoli, who saw Naruto coming, took the initiative. They stopped practicing and helped Naruto to prepare the ingredients. Even Sasuke helped. After the two patted their bellies contentedly, they began to practice. After a while, Naruto summarized and improved the practice methods of these physical skills, which can help the body absorb nutrients and better improve strength. Naruto also told Sasuke the practice methods of the basic physical skills that the two had practiced before. After learning about these practice methods, Sasuke was a little surprised, because these were more comprehensive than what his brother taught him. Sasuke also told Naruto about the shadow clone technique he learned from his brother. Although Itachi was also very curious about why Sasuke wanted to learn this ninjutsu, under Sasuke's constant begging, Itachi still gave this ninjutsu to Sasuke. After all, Sasuke was 6.5 years old, and he had learned Shadow Clone when he was 5 years old. After Uchiha Sasuke told him the practice method, Naruto remembered a voice in his mind again, which made Naruto's mouth curl up. Shadow Clone Technique +5. Shadow Clone Technique +4. In the next few days, Naruto and the other two kept on practicing, and in school, Uchiha Sasuke's grades were getting better and better, especially in actual combat, with huge progress. And there was another book on Naruto's desk, which was the book on the nature of chakra and detailed explanation of hand seals that he wanted to borrow before. There was even knowledge on herbal medicine and medical introduction, which was very unpopular, and basically only those who were developing in the direction of medical ninja would consider borrowing it. Naruto felt that the book, Medical Introduction, was still very rewarding, especially the introduction to the human body and meridians, which Naruto felt was very helpful for his physical training. Hokage Building, Hokage Office. Maple Leaf. Report it. The voice of the third generation came slowly. Yes. It was the Anbu who was monitoring Naruto. Apart from studying, Uzumaki Naruto has been practicing taijutsu with Rock Lee and Uchiha Fugaku's youngest son. In addition, Naruto has read a lot of books during this period, basically all kinds of books. And Uzumaki Naruto learned a shadow clone technique from Uchiha Sasuke. Sometimes he would even skip classes to practice in the woods. The report from the Anbu was very simple, basically what the third Hokage knew. As for Naruto and the others practicing physical skills, the third Hokage didn't take it seriously. No matter how powerful their physical skills were, how powerful could they be? Even Might Guy's physical skills, in the third Hokage's view, the elite Jonin was the limit of physical skills. This does not include ninjutsu. After all, ninjutsu is also a kind of ninjutsu. When mentioning Uchiha Sasuke, the third Hokage paused, and said dimly, "The Uchiha clan. They seem a little restless lately." The Sanda waved his hand, and the Anbu disappeared instantly, leaving only the Sanda slowly puffing out smoke. It immediately filled the entire office. During this time, Naruto and Sasuke used their shadow clones to skip classes. As long as there were no practical classes, the two would use their shadow clones to attend classes, while they would go to their secret base for training. During this time, Sasuke's relationship with Naruto was getting better and better. But Sasuke was still upset about not surpassing Naruto. Naruto lost to him every time they fought. In fact, Sasuke also saw that Naruto clearly had a large part of his strength that had not been shown, because even Rock Lee could slightly suppress him in physical skills. For some reason, Uchiha Itachi felt that Sasuke seemed to have changed a lot recently. Every time he ate, Sasuke would be very excited when he picked up food for him, but now Sasuke has become uninterested. But Itachi didn't think much about it, because Sasuke seemed to have become very hardworking recently. Looking at Sasuke's slightly chubby face, Itachi felt a warm current in his heart. Sasuke, I will definitely protect you. Sasuke, have you lost your appetite recently? Uchiha Makoto smiled sweetly at Sasuke. Uchiha Makoto had long black hair with two bangs falling on both sides of her cheeks. It can be seen that Sasuke almost inherited Uchiha Makoto's genes. He was wearing a gray shirt and a long skirt that was unique to housewives. Next to him was a serious young man wearing a Jonin vest. There was no emotion on his serious face. No, Mom, I just don't want to eat too much. Sasuke didn't dare to say that he had eaten at Naruto's place. He wanted to control himself and eat less, but the food Naruto made was so delicious that Sasuke couldn't control himself. After returning home, he basically couldn't eat much. Uchiha Makoto gently stroked Sasuke's head, her eyes full of doting. It was obvious that Makoto liked this son who looked like her very much. Sasuke, as a man of the Uchiha family, how have you been doing in school recently? Uchiha Fugaku rarely spoke, and he said in a calm tone. Well, it should be no problem to win the title of the top student this year. Sasuke said after thinking for a while. He said that it was probably because he considered that Naruto would not reveal his strength, which made him feel that he was picked up as the top student. At the end of each year, the school would conduct a test to select the top student of each grade. Sasuke did not think that anyone other than him and Naruto could win the position of the top student. And Naruto would most likely not compete for the position of the top student. Well, very good. Keep it up. Uchiha Fugaku's serious face rarely showed a little color. Although he was still very serious, his eyes flashed with satisfaction. Although he had always been strict with Sasuke, he did not ask Sasuke to be as good as Itachi. In fact, he still liked Sasuke very much in his heart, not just because he looked like Makoto. Well, this was also one of the reasons. Come with me, I will teach you a ninjutsu today. Fugaku put down his bowl and chopsticks and asked Sasuke to go out, while Uchiha Makoto quietly cleaned up the bowl and chopsticks on the table. Sasuke followed Fugaku outside, feeling very excited. I should be able to surpass Naruto after learning ninjutsu. In this world, ninjutsu is synonymous with power. The ninjutsu I want to teach you is called the Great Fireball Technique. This is the signature ninjutsu of our Uchiha family. Finally, Fugaku quickly formed seals with his hands, gathered his two fingers at his mouth and blew, and a huge ball of fire was instantly spit out by Fugaku. Looking at the scene in front of him, Sasuke was shocked again. Such power must be able to surpass Naruto. Next, Uchiha Fugaku introduced the specific method of forming seals to Sasuke again, and said, "This ninjutsu, your brother learned it in one go. Next, you try it." Because Sasuke has been secretly practicing seals with Naruto during this period of time, he has become more familiar with seals. When practicing physical skills with Naruto, he also inadvertently exercises some chakra control techniques. This makes Sasuke's performance much better than the original. In the original work, Sasuke released only the size of a basketball. Such power is simply weak and pitiful among ninjas. And now, the size of the fireball released by Sasuke's seal has reached the size of a water tank. After Sasuke released it, he looked at Fugaku with anticipation. Fugaku no longer had a cold face like in the original work, and said, "Well, it's great to be able to achieve this level for the first time, but you still need to keep working hard. When your brother first learned this ninjutsu, he released a fireball several meters long." Sasuke was a little disappointed, but when he heard about his brother's record, he couldn't help but exclaimed, "Brother is so awesome. Keep practicing." After saying that, Uchiha Fugaku left directly. The reason why he was indifferent was because of the current conflict between the Uchiha clan and the village. As his own son, he must carry the banner of Uchiha. That's why he was not satisfied with Sasuke's performance in the original work. Sasuke was still practicing the great fireball technique. Fugaku walked to the door of the room and said to Itachi, who was watching Sasuke practice, "Come to my room." When they arrived at Fugaku's room, they knelt on their knees. Itachi picked up the teapot on the table, made a cup of tea and put it in front of Fugaku. Fugaku didn't speak during this period. After Itachi finished these, Fugaku picked up the teacup and took a sip, then he slowly said, "Itachi, the recent impact between the family and Konoha has intensified again. You are the second Uchiha to join the Anbu. I heard that the previous Anbu captain has retired." After saying this, Uchiha Fugaku did not continue to speak, but stared at Itachi. Itachi was shocked. He knew that this was a warning from his father. As a member of the Uchiha, he became the Anbu captain but did not report it at all. Although he did not know where Fugaku got the information, it was obvious that Fugaku was dissatisfied with him now. "Father, the conflict between our Uchiha clan and Konoha is imminent. If our family clashes with Konoha, the entire Konoha will become very weak, and a new round of war may suddenly sweep across the ninja world. Please give me some time, I will definitely find a way for Uchiha and Konoha to coexist," Itachi said sincerely. "You should know, Itachi, that the Elders' Council has been putting pressure on me recently. We don't have much time left. If the time comes when I have to make a decision, I will have no choice." Hearing Fugaku's serious and cold voice, Itachi's heart trembled. "Father, I'll find a way." Itachi knelt on the ground and bowed to Fugaku. "All right, get out, I'll think about it for a while." Fugaku waved his hand, his tone full of helplessness. Facing his son, how could Fugaku not understand that Itachi had begun to rarely come to the clan meetings? "I wonder if it's right or wrong for me to let Itachi join the Anbu." Fugaku felt that he couldn't see through his son. You know, Itachi is not even 12 years old now. He has already opened the 3 Magatama Sharingan and become one of the few strong Jonins in the Uchiha clan. Not only Itachi, but even Shisui seems to have the intention of getting close to Konoha. The war faction even began to plan a war with Konoha, intending to rely on violence to gain power. But Fugaku knew what a war between Uchiha and Konoha meant. Konoha was not as simple as imagined. Even if the Uchiha clan won, could it still resist the other major countries? If Naruto knew what Fugaku was thinking, he would know that Fugaku was a rare rational person, but he was helpless because of his lack of ability and was controlled by the third generation. He even hoped to rely on Itachi and Shisui to work in the Anbu to improve the relationship with the village, but he didn't know that he would lose both the wife and the army. Uchiha Fugaku not only pushed Shisui to the Hokage faction, but also pushed his gifted son to Konoha. As the saying goes, the weaker you are, the more likely others will take advantage of you. If Uchiha Fugaku showed his Mangekyo, Shisui and Itachi, the 3 Mangekyos, would have shocked Konoha. How could Konoha finally exterminate the Uchiha clan? Itachi was too young to be sent to the third generation to be an Anbu. He was seen through by the old fox early on and tried to confuse him. He inadvertently injected the collective consciousness of the village's supremacy into Itachi, which made Itachi start to think about the problem from the overall perspective. Over time, he thought that he belonged to Konoha, and the clan's thinking was too narrow. In addition, the Uchiha clan had extreme ideas, but not all Uchiha were like this. There was also a large part of the Uchiha clan's civilians, who were eventually slaughtered. It can only be said that Itachi, Shisui and the entire Uchiha clan were too naive in front of the third Hokage and Danzo, especially in politics. They were completely manipulated by the third Hokage. And Shisui was too naive, exposing Koto Amatsukami to Danzo. Is Danzo really obsessed with the stability of the village? Danzo just wanted the Uchiha clan's Sharingan to help him reconcile the power of the cells to seize the position of Hokage. I wonder how he would feel if he knew that the Uchiha clan he wanted to protect so much died at the hands of Itachi. Compared with the radical Itachi, Shisui is obviously more inclined to the peaceful coexistence of the village and the Uchiha. In the end, even if a war broke out between the Uchiha and the village, I am afraid that Shisui would rather the Uchiha defect than be slaughtered by Konoha. Naruto didn't know about all this, or he couldn't care about it now. He was very excited at the moment because the ninjutsu that Naruto had always wanted was finally successfully researched by him, or it was not entirely a ninjutsu. After Naruto knew that he was being monitored, he had been trying to escape the surveillance. In the end, Naruto's idea was to use something similar to illusion to hypnotize or control the Anbu who was monitoring in the dark. After knowing the principle of illusion, Naruto has been trying. Using his natural huge and hard-earned mental power, Naruto successfully developed a move on this day, which can be barely classified as an illusion. Naruto named this move Soul Capture. The principle is to use his huge mental power and slight chakra to control the target after looking at it. It is necessary to replenish mental power regularly to strengthen control. In fact, Naruto referred to Uchiha Obito's control over the Mizukage. The difference is that Uchiha Obito used the Sharingan illusion to control the Mizukage, so it is feasible to control people with illusion. With the help of the god of hard work, Naruto developed a method of controlling people with mental power. Naruto does not need to control a cage-level strongman like the Mizukage, he only needs to make the elites who monitor him tolerate his control. In this way, certain abilities that he has not dared to practice can be practiced, and in this way, Naruto's strength will usher in explosive growth. Naruto only needs to control the Anbu to pass his false information to the third generation. Naruto also knows that the third generation will not pin all his intelligence information on the Anbu. For example, the third generation once used the telescope technique to secretly observe Naruto when Naruto was in class. If it weren't for Naruto's strong perception ability, he might not know that the third generation used this trick to monitor him. Thinking that he could finally get some freedom, Naruto finally couldn't help but smile happily. Naruto, what good news do you have? Seeing Naruto's smile, Xiaoli couldn't help but ask. Xiaoli, this is indeed something worth celebrating. Naruto laughed loudly. For so many years, he has lived in this environment every day. If it weren't for hatred supporting him, he would have been driven crazy long ago. After all, he is not the original Naruto now. After encountering so many things, he can still stay sunny. Naruto gradually walked to the edge of the woods. Xiaoli was a little confused. Come out. Seeing Naruto shouting at the woods, Xiaoli was a little confused. Could it be that there was someone else in the woods? The Anbu hiding in the tree was also shocked. Could it be that Uzumaki Naruto had discovered him? Fire-style chain fireball jutsu. Naruto used this fire-style ninjutsu that he had been constantly improving. It only had 2 seals, which was almost like instantaneous firing. However, Naruto now controlled the firing speed, as he was afraid that the ninja in the tree would be killed by this blow. The prerequisite for launching the Soul Stealer is that the two must look into each other's eyes. The Anbu were hiding in the woods, so there was no way for them to make eye contact, so they had to be forced out. The Anbu hiding in the tree were shocked. They didn't expect that Uzumaki Naruto really found them, and that he had such a powerful strength. How on earth did he become so strong under their noses, and when did he learn the ninjutsu? At this critical moment, she didn't care so much. Seeing several fireballs coming at her at an astonishing speed, she hurriedly emerged from the tree. The substitution technique was activated, and Naruto's attack did not work, but the purpose had been achieved. The Soul Stealer was suddenly activated, and she felt as if her head was hit by a hammer, and then she gradually became dazed. What's going on? Xiaoli's expression gradually became serious. I'll tell you later. Naruto looked at the Anbu in front of him. She was wearing a cat-faced mask and had long purple hair that reached her waist. She looked like a woman. This made Naruto feel familiar, as if he had seen her somewhere before. He reached out and took off the Anbu's mask. Under the mask was a face that amazed Naruto. Her purple hair was like lacquer, her skin was like jade, and she was delicate, incomparable. At the age of a teenager, he actually has a stunning appearance. This reminds Naruto of a person, Uhi Yugao, an Anbu who appeared a few times in the original work. At this time, he should be at the level of an elite chunin. With his swordsmanship, he should be able to reach the level of a special jonin. What's your name? Naruto asked slowly. My name is Mao Yu Shiyan. My code name is Mao Tu. What is your purpose? My purpose is to follow the orders of the third Hokage to monitor the Nine Tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto. Listening to the fact that this extremely beautiful woman in front of him was here to monitor Naruto, Xiaoli couldn't help but tremble in his heart. Xiao. Lee didn't know what the Nine Tails Jinchuriki was, but he also understood that Naruto was being monitored, which made him extremely angry. What are the names of the ninjas who swap shifts with you every time? What are their code names? Naruto continued to ask. There were 2 other ninjas who took my shift, but I didn't know their names. They were all called by code names in the Anbu. Their code names were Maple Leaf and Black Tiger. Information about other Anbu slowly came out of the somewhat dazed Ujiyasu Yugao's mouth. She came to monitor Naruto 2 years ago. As for who was monitoring Naruto before, it is estimated that only the 3rd generation knows. Naruto is very satisfied with the effect of soul stealing, but there is still a flaw. Naruto really wants to use a super illusion ability similar to Koto Amatsukami, but being able to do this is already the limit. If Naruto now makes Ujiyasu Yugao do something that she is extremely unwilling to do in her heart, it may allow the person who is under the spell to break free directly, but at present, it seems that it is enough to get rid of the surveillance. Naruto, your storm kick is so powerful. Xiao Li looked at Naruto, who was constantly slashing out air waves, his eyes full of surprise. Without the restraint of the Anbu, Naruto's training has gradually become bolder, and his proficiency in the 6 styles, which had been progressing slowly before, has begun to rise rapidly. Of course, the most important thing is to rely on the ability of God to reward hard work. In Xiao Li's eyes, Naruto is a super genius. No matter what he learns, he will learn it quickly. I'm only just getting started with shaving, Xiao Li said, a little distressed. Naruto didn't name the 6 styles the Navy 6 styles, but he still called it the 6 styles, which is simple and clear. You are already very good, okay. Naruto rolled his eyes at Xiao Li. He has the ability of cheating. Xiao Li relies entirely on his own efforts and talent. For example, his current physical ability is not inferior to that of a genin. Even with the basic 6 styles he has learned, Xiao Li's actual combat ability is not bad. After all, he is still in the stage of laying the foundation. Even for him, his current strength is estimated to be around that of a special jonin. Xiao Li, let me spar with you. Naruto, who has achieved a little success, is in a particularly good mood now. It just so happens that I also want to try out how good I am now. After hearing Naruto's words, Xiao Li, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, immediately said that it was a competition, but in fact it was Naruto's guidance to him. Who knew that every time Naruto fought, a voice would come from his body. Combat experience +5, 6 styles +2. This is the reason why Naruto can become stronger quickly. God rewards hard work and gives Naruto the method to become stronger, but Naruto still needs to hone his skills. Naruto also accumulates combat experience through fighting with Xiao Li. Sometimes Naruto even calls out Azuki Yugao to help him train. However, during this process, Naruto has always been using the perception ability of Kagura's mind's eye. Xiao Li stretched out one hand and put the other hand behind his back. This posture is exactly the posture of Xiao Li in the original work. The two looked at each other, and for a moment there was an invisible momentum around them. The next moment, Xiao Li disappeared directly from the spot, and his feet turned into countless afterimages. It was Shave. Shroud kick. Naruto jumped into the sky and kept kicking out crescent-shaped air waves in the direction where Lee was coming from. Lee kept dodging Naruto's attacks. Lee also learned a little bit of the shroud kick. Although he couldn't kick out a vacuum wave yet, he could strengthen his leg strength. Lee relied on the speed brought by shaving to keep approaching Naruto and kept kicking Naruto with the force of the shroud kick. Iron block. Bang, bang, bang. As Xiao Li continued to kick Naruto, the sound of metal roaring broke out. Iron block proficiency +2. Naruto raised the corner of his mouth, and also moved quickly with the shaving. Xiao Li's eyes shrank, and he crossed his hands in front of his head, tightly protecting his head. The next moment, Naruto kicked Xiao Li's arm heavily, and Xiao Li's whole body retreated immediately, leaving a 5-meter-long gully under his feet. Xiao Li shook his arms and stepped out again. The speed of the whole person soared, and after spinning several times in the air, he kicked Naruto. A trace of praise flashed in Naruto's eyes. Use the inertia of rotation to strengthen your strength. Naruto raised the corner of his mouth and punched the sky. Xiao Li's foot and Naruto's fist collided heavily, forming a circle of shock waves. Xiao Li rolled behind him with the power transmitted, and then stepped on his feet and rushed directly towards Naruto. The two of them fought each other in an instant, and the sound of the two colliding was constantly heard around them. After a while, the two fought dozens of rounds. Xiao Li was slightly panting, watching Naruto attack him. From the beginning to now, the strength and speed of the celebrity's attack have not decreased. Iron block. Xiao Li could only use the iron block for defense, but because Xiao Li's iron block was too weak, it was directly knocked out. Xiao Li, who was knocked out, lay on the ground gasping for breath. Not bad this time, I lasted 2 more minutes. Naruto said to Xiao Li with a smile, walked in front of Xiao Li and pulled him up. This is youth. Xiao Li gave Naruto a thumbs up, but Naruto thought that if Xiao Li were to endorse toothpaste, it would definitely be a big hit. Tomorrow is the day to decide the top student, right? Naruto said meaningfully. Xiao Li didn't notice anything wrong and said directly, yes. The annual top student battle has begun again. This is just like Naruto's final exam in his previous life. In fact, in this world, there are also exams. The first in that grade is called the top student. Are there any outstanding people in your class? Naruto said to Xiao Li. At this point, Xiao Li's eyes lit up and said, yes. There is a very strong person, a genius. When Xiao Li talked about genius, there was no fluctuation at all, as if genius was nothing. There is a guy named Hyuga Neji, who is very strong in physical skills and is from the Hyuga family. Xiao Li said slowly. If it was before, Xiao Li would have emotional fluctuations towards Neji, but now, with the contrast of Naruto, the super pervert, Hyuga Neji does not seem so special. Even now, Xiao Li's strength is above Hyuga Neji. After all, although Hyuga Neji is very talented, he is a member of a branch family after all, and the resources of the Hyuga clan are not much poured into Hyuga Neji. If Hyuga Neji had been trained by the main family from the beginning, he would at least be a Jonin-level existence when the original plot begins. Hyuga Neji was also the first one among the 12 to be promoted to a Jonin, and the only one among the 12 who died in battle. Naruto couldn't help but sigh when he remembered that Hyuga Neji died to save himself in the original work. He was just an object to be won over. He must be very disappointed with Konoha. Naruto planned to find a chance to contact Hyuga Neji, but the bird in the cage was a bit troublesome. If the seal of the bird in the cage could not be removed, Ningqi's talent might not be fully utilized. It seems that the knowledge of sealing techniques should also be put on the agenda. While Naruto was thinking, he then put the earth pit on the ground was filled up. He used the earth escape ninjutsu learned from Azuki Yugao. After successfully controlling Azuki Yugao, Naruto gained a lot of benefits from her. However, Azuki Yugao did not know many ninjutsu. Her chakra attributes were earth escape and wind escape. She usually focused on swordsmanship. However, Naruto still got a few ninjutsu from Azuki Yugao for free. One was wind escape wind cut, one was wind escape fierce wind palm, and wind escape big breakthrough. They were all very common C-level ninjutsu. But there was a B-level ninjutsu, wind escape vacuum big ball. It was wind escape vacuum, an upgraded version of the jade. It appeared in Danzo's hands in the original work, and its power was pretty good. However, it was far inferior to the Rasengan. After the threat of surveillance was gone, Naruto took the opportunity to learn this ninjutsu. After all, there was a method of learning in the original work. There are also 2 or 3 earth escape ninjutsu, such as earth escape earth formation wall, earth shield earth diving, earth escape earth spear, and earth escape earth splitting palm, which is also a very common earth escape ninjutsu. No wonder it is mainly based on swordsmanship. The power of Azuki Yugao's 3 moon dance is okay, and its power has almost reached the level of A-level ninjutsu. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.